Chapter 899, Meeting Qing Yixuan once again. It's the ruler's Qi of our turtle clan. He's actually the ruler of our clan. The second and third elder were secretly shocked. Their gaze toward Jian underwent a slight change and became rather mixed. The grand elder scanned across the people below with lit eyes and said proudly, "I believe everyone can sense the ruler's Qi of our clan. It's been 30,000 years since our clan has had a ruler. Only under the lead of a ruler can we achieve glory. Everyone, why don't you bow before the ruler?" Immediately, a portion of the people fell to their knees, planning to bow to Jian. "Wait," the second elder called out to stop them. He gazed toward Jian in interest and said with clasped hands, "May I ask of your name? Which tribe were you born in? How come I haven't heard any news of you before? Where did you come from exactly?" The second elder asked these questions boldly. He was not polite at all. From his attitude, he did not view the ruler with respect at all. Jian sat there calmly and silently. He felt he had no need to answer the second elder's questions because only he knew that he was not their ruler at all. All of this was due to the water spirit's pill that the sea goddess had gifted to him. The second elder's words caused the grand elder's expression to change abruptly. He followed up gruffly, "Second elder, what are you trying to say? Do you dare to doubt the ruler? Can't you sense the ruler's Qi from the ruler? Calm down, grand elder. That person indeed possesses the ruler's Qi of our clan, but we have no idea about his identity. Also, we've never heard of any news about a ruler of our clan, so I feel like there's a need for us to know about this person's identity. After all, the position of ruler can control the fate of our entire clan. We can't be careless in this respect," the second elder said calmly. The grand elder was furious. "Second elder, for the ruler to inherit the position of power in our clan is an undebatable matter. He's undoubtedly the ruler of all citizens of the Turtle Clan, and as his citizens, we have no right to doubt his identity. As the grand elder, I will now be announcing that we will dismiss the position of patriarch. All members of the clan will listen to the ruler and only the ruler. His words will be absolute. Grand elder, there must be an agreement between all three of us to dismiss the position of patriarch. I overrule your decision under the current circumstances as we are uncertain about the ruler's identity," said the second elder. "Grand elder, he may have the ruler's Qi of our clan, but his origins are just too questionable. Also, anything in regards to it is just too important. I don't feel like we should overly rush it. Why don't we put it aside for now and discuss over it later?" The third elder also gave his opinion, standing with the second elder. Why, you're not treating the ruler of our clan with any respect at all. How dare you?" The grand elder said angrily as he pointed at the two elders. He was absolutely furious. Afterward, he looked toward the other people in the hall and asked sternly, "What do you intend to do? Are you going to reject the ruler of our clan like the second and third elder?" All the saint rulers looked at each other after that. They all revealed troubled expressions, shutting their mouths without saying anything. They had silently shown their agreement with the two elders. All right. Never did I think that the group of you would not acknowledge me, since I spent most of my time cultivating at the hall and rarely interfered with clan business." The grand elder was very furious. He heavily pressed down on his cane as his chest rose and fell with an exaggerated motion. Jian watched on calmly, but he was secretly happy. This was naturally the outcome he liked to see the most, because he had no interest in being some ruler of the Turtle Clan. He needed to leave the sea realm sooner or later. Seeing how it was about time, he stood up from the throne and said, "Grand Elder, there's no need for you to argue. I will not be the ruler of your Turtle Clan. Junior bids you farewell." Jian directly left the hall with that. He did not show any reluctance. No one in the hall stopped Jian. Although he was not accepted because of the second and third elder, the ruler's Qi on him was the real thing. It was impossible to fake. The grand elder stood furiously before the throne. With what had happened, he no longer had the dignity to stop Jian. He could only let him leave. Just as Jian left through the main entrance, he saw Xia Wang arguing unhappily with the guards that had been stationed there. He had tailed Jian Qin from the hall, but he was not as fast as the Grand Elder, so he was thrown far behind. When he had arrived here, the two of them had already gone inside. Naturally, he could not enter the tribe without the Grand Elder leading the way. As a result, he ended up arguing with the guards at the main entrance. "Xia Wang," Jian Qin called out, quickly hurrying over to him. Seeing Jian Qin walked over from inside, Xia Wang immediately stopped talking to the guards. He looked up and down at Jian Qin and said, "You've finally come out. So how was it? Have you finally become the ruler of the Turtle Clan?" These words spoken by Xia Wang shocked the guards, and their gazes toward Jian Qin finally underwent a complete change. Only now did they realize why they felt that respect and dread toward him. As it turned out, he was actually the ruler of their clan. "Let's not talk about it. We're leaving." Jian Qin remained calm as he walked out under the mixed gazes of the guards. Afterward, he directly took to the air. Xia Wang gazed at Jian Qin's back as he flew away in doubt. An expression of thought appeared on his face, but he did not say anything else. He left with Jian Qin. "Oi, what happened in the Turtle Clan? Did they recognize the wrong person and you're not some ruler of the Turtle Clan?" Xia Wang caught up quickly and asked curiously. "Yeah, they did get the wrong person. I'm not some ruler of the Turtle Clan," replied Jian Qin. He was extremely calm and did not care at all about what had happened in the Turtle Clan. As soon as Jian Qin finished talking, the surrounding space froze. It bound both of them firmly in the air, immobilizing them. A white-clothed Qing Yixuan appeared before the two of them. Her face was frigid as she glared at Jian Qin. She said, "I'd like to see how you escape now." Jian Qin focused his gaze and said, "Senior, perhaps you want to kill me? I may not be able to kill you, but there's nothing you can do to stop me from taking the map fragment back," Qing Yixuan said coldly. She directly took Jian Qin's space ring, beginning to rifle through it. A snigger formed on Jian Qin's face. He had known that Qing Yixuan was tailing him long ago, which was why he had already swapped out his space ring. He had already placed the space ring that contained all the important items into his saint artifact. Qin Yixuan searched through the entire ring but failed to find even the traces of the map fragment. Her face immediately sank as she stared viciously at Jian Qin. She cried, "Speak! Where did you put the map fragment?" "Senior Qin Yixuan, I still have great uses for the map fragment, so I won't be giving it to you," said Jian Qin. "All right. Since you're not going to hand it over yourself, it's not going to be my fault for going rough. I might not be able to kill you, but I do have methods to torture you. Come with me." Qin Yixuan arrived before Jian Qin with a flash, grabbing his clothes with her elegant, white fingers. However, she then looked at Xia Wang and said, "You'll need to come with me as well so you don't leak anything." Qin Yixuan used her other hand to grab Xia Wang, about to leave there with the two of them. "Qin Yixuan, how dare you treat the ruler of my Turtle Clan like that?" At this moment, a loud voice could be heard from afar. It was the Grand Elder of the Turtle Clan who rushed over threateningly with a vast presence. "God damn it, that old turtle just had to come at this time, ruining my business." Qin Yixuan frowned, but her grip on the two of them did not loosen at all. "Qin Yixuan, why don't you let go of my ruler? Otherwise, don't blame me for reporting this to the Hall Master." The Grand Elder arrived before Qin Yixuan and roared angrily. At that moment, he no longer seemed small at all with his hunchback. Deep dread appeared in Qin Yixuan's eyes as soon as she heard him mention the Hall Master. She thought, the Hall Master views this person with great importance and even personally bestowed him the status of a guest. If I take him away, that old turtle is going to report it to the Hall Master. I'll be hit with quite a lot of trouble then. Size, whatever. Qin Yixuan immediately gave up on the idea of taking Jian Qin away. She said coldly, "I'll let you off this time. If you don't hand over the map fragment, I'll keep sticking near you." Qin Yixuan departed after throwing that down. She traveled extremely fast, disappearing in the blink of an eye. "Ruler, are you fine?" The Grand Elder arrived before Jian Qin and asked out of concern. Fortunately, Grand Elder made it in time. Otherwise, I might have been in quite the trouble, Jian Qin said gratefully. Some concern appeared on the Grand Elder's face as he said, Qin Yixuan is extremely powerful. Her attacks are swift and fierce, while members of my turtle clan have a great defense but weak offense. If we really did end up fighting, I would lose without a doubt. Fortunately, she fears the Hall Master or I really wouldn't have known what to do. Ruler, you're on Qin Yixuan's radar now. You better return to the tribe with me. As long as the ruler stays there, Qin Yixuan will never come and create a disturbance no matter how brave she is. Our clan may not be strong but we were one of the founding members of the Sea Goddess Hall. She won't dare to make any troubles for us as a foreigner. I thank Grand Elder's concern but the tribe is not a place for me. I have other places, Jian Qin rejected him indirectly. The Grand Elder sighed and said, looks like the ruler is mad over what happened before. It has already been 30,000 years since the clan has had a ruler, which is why the might of our clan has decreased. But don't worry ruler, I will definitely organize everything in the clan in the shortest time so that ruler can take power successfully. Chapter 900, King Armament. Jian Qin was filled with a sense of helplessness with what the Grand Elder of the Turtle Clan had said. He knew that he would not listen to him no matter how he put it. The inflexible Grand Elder had already made up his mind about the ruler's qi on him. Do I explain my true identity to him at all? That's probably the only way to get him to believe that I'm not some ruler of his clan, Jian Qin thought. He had already begun to hesitate whether to disclose his identity or not. The Grand Elder sighed and spoke, to think that we were once one of the greatest tribes in the Sea Realm. We were so powerful that even with the entire Sea Realm in perspective, we were at least ranked in the top 10. At our peak, we had a total of 4 rulers and every single one of them were Hall Elders at the peak of the 16th star. At that time, no one dared to provoke us other than the 3 halls. It's a pity that so much time has passed and our strength has waned with each coming generation. The number of rulers constantly decreased and our overall strength plummeted. We've fallen from our initial status as one of the greatest tribes to this current disappointing state. It has been 30,000 years since the last person with the ruler's qi had appeared. If the situation continues like this, we'll probably become weaker and weaker, before being devoured by the other stronger tribes. A sliver of pain appeared on the Grand Elder's face. As one of the older members of the clan, he did not wish to see something like that happen at all. Ruler, you're the hope of our clan. Only under you can the Turtle Clan return to its former glory. I hope the ruler can return to our clan. I will do everything I can to help the ruler take power. The Grand Elder pleaded Jian Qin. He was filled with hope. Grand Elder, you should stop there. I'm not a member of your Turtle Clan. I can't return with you. Jian Qin rejected the Grand Elder's pleas without any hesitation, before leaving with Xia Wang. Ruler, if you don't want to go with me, then I'll always stick by your side. The Grand Elder was stubborn, immediately following Jian Qin. Jian Qin was delighted about the Grand Elder following him around. With a Saint King by his side, he no longer needed to worry about Qin Yixuan looking for him again. He flew with Xia Wang toward the hall. Meanwhile, the Grand Elder did not even move an inch away from his side. It had almost been a month since Jian Qin had come to the Sea Realm. In that time, he had always been tied up by some miscellaneous matters, preventing him from cultivating properly. That was exactly the opposite of his reason for coming to the Sea Realm. As a result, he planned to devote himself to cultivation in the upcoming period. He wanted to leave for the Tianyuan continent immediately after he had become powerful enough. The 3 of them traveled for 10,000 kilometers before a city appeared before them. Jian Qin directly flew over it. However, just as he reached the center of the city, his gaze suddenly froze. He suddenly looked down before descending abruptly, directly falling into the busy streets. Before Jian Qin was a castle-like structure. It was extremely extravagant, while many people passed in and out of its main entrance. It was bustling. Exotic treasures. Jian Qin mumbled as he read the beautiful words on the plaque. He then entered it as his eyes flashed with excitement. Esteemed warriors, how may I be of service today? As soon as he entered the building, a member of staff who was good with people, ran over by himself. He smiled as he walked around the three of them, clearly very enthusiastic. "Take me to the 5th floor," Jian acted authoritatively, directly tossing a grand quality crystal coin at the member of staff. He behaved extravagantly, attracting the curious gazes of people nearby. The warrior's tastes obviously far exceed that of ordinary people. "The 5th floor of our store contains our most expensive items. Normal people don't even have the right to go there. Only important figures like this warrior can." The person was ecstatic after receiving a grand quality crystal coin so easily. He immediately began to butter up to Jian with eloquent words. "Shut up, lead the way," Jian said rather impatiently. Yes. This one will lead the way immediately. Please come this way, warrior." The man immediately got to the point when he saw how Jian had become unhappy. He directly led Jian up the stairs. Jian arrived at the 5th floor under the person's guidance. The space of the 5th floor was the same as the first, but there were much fewer items there. There was barely anything, but every item was extremely valuable. Over 20 people in luxurious clothes currently examined the treasures on that floor. Among the people, a slender, white-clothed woman was the most attention-catching. She possessed an enchanting face, while her skin was white and extremely soft. Her eyes were limpid like autumn water, yet they were also remorselessly cold, revealing a frigidness that deterred people. Standing with those people, she seemed just like a flower among a dung paddy. That was how much she stood out, how unignorable she was. The aristocrats who had come for the treasures would glance at her from the corner of their eyes secretly from time to time. Although they stared at the treasures, their minds were elsewhere. Beside the woman stood a well-dressed, dashing young man. A dazzling smile hung on his face as he constantly talked to the lady. His gaze toward her was also filled with infatuation, as he struggled to hide the affection in his heart. Beside the young man stood 2 middle-aged men who were dressed simply. They were emotionless and cold. They were 6th cycle Heaven Saint Masters. It was forbidden to fight in cities in the Sea Realm. However, the young man had 2 6th cycle Heaven Saint Master guards following him around despite being in the city, so his status was evident. He was definitely a young master of a great clan. "Girl, I've introduced myself. May I learn of your name and which family you come from? And where do you cultivate?" The young man beside the lady said with a smile. His voice was soft and he was warm. He seemed extremely friendly. The man was called Nanyan Lai, the youngest son of the Nanyan clan. His great-grandfather was the current patriarch of the clan. Probably everyone in the radius of several hundreds of thousands of kilometers knew about the Nanyan clan. They were a famed clan within the Sea Goddess Hall's territory and possessed 2 15th star experts. They held supreme power in the region and were undoubtedly a first-rate organization. They controlled many medium-sized tribes and clans below them, which expanded their power even more. The woman was cold, ignoring the chattering Nanyan Lai beside her. She stared unblinkingly at the 1-2-meter-long sword before her with her cold eyes. The sword was only 2 fingers wide. Its blade was shiny like a mirror, while it shone with a hazy glow. The presence of a vast and terrifying energy flowed throughout it. At that moment, the woman's expression changed. She glanced behind her suddenly, immediately locking onto Jian with her cold eyes. Her eyes narrowed very moment she saw him and she now gritted her teeth. The woman was Yixuan of the 8 great human experts. Xia Wang's expression changed instantly when he saw her. He sent a mental message. God damn it, why is she here? Jian, why did you come here without any reason? We don't even have the time to hide from her, yet you've approached her yourself. Are you throwing yourself at danger? Jian ignored Xia Wang. After glancing at Yixuan and Nanyan Lai, he revealed an odd expression. However, he said nothing. He immediately walked toward Yixuan, before stopping before the sword. Jian's eyes landed on the sword and they immediately began to light up with burning enthusiasm, as if he had just seen an absolute treasure. He began to slaver over it. He knew that the sword before him was definitely a weapon countless times more powerful than the dragon-slaying sword. Jian Qin touched the hilt of the sword with his trembling hands. The moment he touched it, a sharp sword qi immediately shot out. It cut through Jian Qin's chaotic body, injuring his palm. Blood immediately began to flow from the wound. Jian Qin was secretly shocked when he felt the pain in his hand. The power of the sword was beyond his imagination. Never did he think that just a single sword qi would be so powerful that it even broke through the defense of his chaotic body. If it was someone else, they would definitely suffer a much more chilling outcome. With a thought, the chaotic force in his dantian immediately began to pump out strands of chaotic force. It boosted the toughness of his body to the absolute maximum, before he grabbed at the hilt of the sword once again. The moment he touched it, a sharp sword qi shot out. It left a white mark on his hand, but it could not cause any damage to Jian Qin now. A sliver of surprise immediately flashed across Qin Yixuan's eyes as she knew exactly how powerful the sword was. She was shocked by the strength of Jian Qin's body. This is a weapon left behind by a human expert after they passed away from age. It should be a Qing armament, left behind by a human 9th heavenly layer Saint Qing. The Grand Elder of the Turtle Clan marveled. He stared fixedly at the sword as he observed it. Jian Qin's heart was filled with unconcealable excitement the moment he heard that. He lifted up the sword to examine it in greater detail, immediately revealing a pleasantly surprised expression. He murmured, "A Qing armament. It sure is worthy of being a weapon left behind by a 9th heavenly layer Saint Qing. It's abnormally powerful. This sword suits me too well. Leave the Qing armament. You're not worthy of it with your current strength," Qin Yixuan said to Jian Qin as she looked at him coldly. Her hatred for him gnawed at her heart, but with the Grand Elder of the Turtle Clan present, she could do nothing against him. "Who says I'm not worthy of it? I'm taking this Qing armament. Shopkeeper, what's the price on this weapon?" Jian Qin pooled his attention onto the Qing armament. He was extremely excited. His dragon-slaying sword was now already slightly damaged, and as his strength increased in the future, its effects on boosting his strength would decrease. If he reached the 3rd layer of the chaotic body, the sword would no longer be able to withstand his chaotic force. The Qing armament left behind by a 9th heavenly layer Saint Qing just happened to resolve that pressing problem. Additionally, Qing armaments were much more powerful than ruler armaments. Jian Qin believed that he would be able to challenge a Saint Qing with it, given that the Saint Qing was not too powerful. Chapter 901, Conflict. Hearing that Jian Qin actually wanted to buy the Qing armament, Qin Yixuan's expression changed slightly. She cried out, "The sword caught my attention first, so I'm allowed to buy it first." "There's no chance for you." Qin Yixuan was an expert with the sword. The shape of the saint weapon she used was almost the same as the Qing armament, so it was extremely important to her. If she obtained the Qing armament as a 5th heavenly layer Saint Qing, it would just make her even powerful. She would totally possess the power to overcome the difference of cultivation levels to challenge 7th heavenly layer Saint Qings. As a result, Qin Yixuan had already sworn to obtain the Qing armament. Although ruler armaments were quite common in the Sea realm, a ruler armament was nowhere near enough for her strength. Only Qing armaments and Emperor armaments could boost her strength, but these two types of weapons were extremely rare even on the Tina Yuan continent, let alone the Sea realm where there were sparsely any humans. "Senior, since you wanted the sword, why haven't you bought it after staring at it for so long?" "The sword is in my hands now. I'm taking it," Jian Qin said with determination. His uses for the Qing armament were just too great, so he was also determined to obtain it. Although it would cause him to offend Qin Yixuan, the two of them already had enmity. He did not care about adding some more to it. Qin Yixuan had already paled in anger. She stared at Jian Qin as flames of rage burned in her eyes as she said coldly, "The sword has been reserved by me, so it's already mine. You can't buy the sword before I give up on buying it. I want the sword right now. I wonder if I can get the right to buy it before the reserver?" Jian Qin asked aloud, yet his eyes were focused on an old man who walked over. He exuded a learned presence. He was a saint ruler of the 9th heavenly layer, and Jian Qin knew that he was the shopkeeper here. The two warriors sure have good eyes. I've only recently obtained this Qing armament and it's just been on sale for 3 days. I originally thought that no one would buy it, so I planned on auctioning it off in the large auction in a few days. Never did I think I would meet the knowledgeable so fast. It really has surprised this one. The shopkeeper chuckled as he walked over. He observed Jian Qin and Qing Yixuan secretly, understanding that the two of them must have very influential backgrounds, such that he could not offend them. The shopkeeper arrived before the Qing armament and continued, "This lady may have had her eyes on the Qing armament, but she hasn't paid any reservation fees or discussed it with the shop. As a result, this warrior may buy the sword given the rules. As long as you pay the right price, the weapon will be yours." Qing Yixuan began to panic as soon as she heard that. She said with a deep voice, "Shopkeeper, I also want the sword, but I don't have enough crystal coins on me. I've already contacted a good friend of mine to bring over the money, so can you hold on to it for some time for me?" The shopkeeper hesitated slightly. He was a bit troubled. A smile immediately appeared on Nanyan Lai's face when he heard that Qing Yixuan did not have enough money. He said, "Since this lady likes this sword called Qing Armament, I'll buy it and gift it to you." "Shopkeeper, I'd like to take the sword. Bill it to the Nanyan clan. There'll be someone who'll come with the money." As he said that, Nanyan Lai glanced at Jian Qin in provocation. He knew that Jian Qin was not weak, but he did not care about that at all. This was because he was the youngest son of the Nanyan clan, which had 2 15th star experts. A sneer formed on Jian Qin's lips when he noticed Nanyan Lai's glance. He could tell that Nanyan Lai was a hedonistic degenerate from a rich family with a single look. He probably did not even know what a Qing armament was. "Shopkeeper, may I ask of the price?" Jian Qin asked. 50 million grand quality crystal coins, said the shopkeeper. "What? 50,000 grand quality crystal coins." Nanyan Lai immediately jumped in fright when he heard the price. He asked in disbelief, "Shopkeeper, are you sure that's the right price? How can a sword like this be worth 50 million grand quality crystal coins?" "Young Master Nanyan Lai, you probably don't know about the origins of this weapon then. If this weapon was thrown onto the Tianyuan continent, it's enough to cause a storm of blood. 50 million coins is already a low price," explained the shopkeeper. 50 million coins. How is it so expensive?" Nanyan Lai revealed an ugly expression. He became extremely awkward. He knew nothing about the Tianyuan continent, so naturally, he had no idea of the weapon's value. He originally wanted to buy it and gift it to the attractive girl beside him, so that he could win her heart. However, never did he think that the Qing armament would be so expensive, being at a price of 50 million grand quality crystal coins. Even to his clan, this price was a huge amount of wealth. It was not an amount he could spend. Qing Yixuan did not even glance at Nanyan Lai throughout this. She waved a medallion before the shopkeeper and said, "Shopkeeper, this is the medallion of my identity. Are you able to give me some time?" The shopkeeper's expression immediately changed greatly when he recognized the medallion in Qing Yixuan's hand. "You're not the only one with something like that. I have it too. Shopkeeper, here is the medallion of my identity. I want to buy the Qing armament." Jian Qin also pulled out his guest's medallion. The shopkeeper immediately paled when he saw Jian Qin's medallion. He directly vomited a mouthful of blood, taking several steps back in retreat. His gaze toward Jian Qin was filled with fear while his heart began to toss and turn. He had just seen a hazy figure sitting within a grand hall from the medallion. It radiated with a great pressure, capable of shaking up the world. It was like God, consecrated and undefiable. He did not recognize the hazy figure, but the figure's identity somehow began to flash through his head the moment he saw it. It was the Hall Master of the Sea Goddess Hall, one of the 3 supreme experts of the sea realm. The shopkeeper's gaze toward Jian Qin had changed completely. It was now filled with fear because he understood that any person who could pull out a medallion like that was an extremely important member of the hall. Even the person secretly in control of the store would not dare not to offend someone like that. Shopkeeper, so who will you be selling the Qing armament to now? Jian Qin put his medallion away and smiled as he looked at the shopkeeper, who had yet to recover from his shock. Esteemed warrior. I have been ignorant. If I had been disrespectful before, I hope this warrior can forgive me. I'll obviously be selling this Qing armament to you. The shopkeeper's attitude to Jian Qin underwent a complete change. He was now much more polite to him. Nanyan Lai could not help but grow curious about Jian Qin's identity as he saw the shopkeeper treat the young man like that. It was actually enough to even make the shopkeeper treat him so politely. Even his identity as a young master of the Nanyan clan was not enough for him to enjoy such treatment. And who's this lady? She's actually able to just say that she wants to buy this Qing armament worth 50 million grand quality crystal coins. That's not an amount anyone can pull out, and yet she did not even bat an eyelid when she heard that. And what medallion did she show the shopkeeper before to make him react like that? Does that mean her identity is impressive? Nanyan Lai began to make guesses, before he quickly thought of something. He rejoiced as he thought, if I can bond with this lady and get her to become my cultivation partner, the status of our clan will rise up to another level. Nanyan Lai's heart began to swell with confidence as he thought up to there. He was the youngest son of the Nanyan clan. His background was great and he was handsome and dashing. He believed he could melt this woman's heart of ice as long as he put in some effort. Girl, isn't it just a Qing armament? There are plenty of weapons like this in the Sea realm. I'll order the members of my clan to find one as soon as I get back. You should be receiving a similar Qing armament without much time. May I ask for your name and where you live? If I find a Qing armament, I'll deliver it to you as soon as possible. Nanyan Lai immediately began his intense attacks on Qin Yixuan. However, Nanyan Lai's lofty aspirations were destined to collapse on themselves. Qin Yixuan stared at him coldly and said, "If you dare say another word, I'm going to throw you out immediately." Nanyan Lai flinched slightly when his enthusiasm was met with such cold words. He said, "Girl, I am the..." Just when he wanted to bring up his clan to shock Qin Yixuan, she waved her hand before he could even finish. Immediately, a powerful force collided with his body, sending him flying. He smashed through a window and fell onto the streets outside. "How dare you harm the young master of our Nanyan clan?" The two guards of Nanyan Lai roared out immediately, charging toward her in unison. However, Qin Yixuan waved her hand gently once more and the two of them immediately followed Nanyan Lai out. They were all knocked away by a powerful force, through a window and onto the street outside. Although the shopkeeper watched all of this happen, he did not dare to stop her. After all, he had completely recognized her guest's medallion. Jian Qin had already pulled out a large pile of crystal coins from his space ring, before borrowing some more from the Grand Elder. He gathered a total of 50 million grand quality crystal coins and bought the Qing armament, putting it away in his space ring under Qin Yixuan's furious gaze. "Farewell, senior." Jian Qin clasped his hands at Qin Yixuan before leaping out the window with Xia Wang and the Grand Elder. They directly took to the skies. Qin Yixuan stared at his figure-sunken face as he flew away. First, Jian Qin had stolen the Octoterra map fragment she had paid a price of being heavily injured to obtain, and now he had taken the Qing armament she had valued very much. It made her hatred for him peak. "You're the first brat who dares to act purposefully arrogant before me. There will be one day where I make you regret your choices. I refuse to believe that Old Turtle will protect you for your whole life." Qin Yixuan gnashed her teeth. Afterward, she disappeared from the building with a flash. Nanyan Lai charged up to the 5th floor furiously and in a horrible shape as soon as she left. He said angrily, "How dare she treat me like this? She doesn't acknowledge the Nanyan clan at all. Where'd she go?" Nanyan Lai looked around and realized that Qin Yixuan and Jian Qin had disappeared. "Shopkeeper, where are they? Where'd they go? Do they really think it's so easy to flee after hitting me? Nanyan Lai called at the shopkeeper as he had no one to vent his anger on anymore. The shopkeeper sneered at Nanyan Lai, "Young master, those people have already done you a great favor by not crippling you. Not only do you fail to realize what's good for you, you even want to find them for revenge. If you really do agitate them, your Nanyan clan will be pulled in as well. Do you know who that woman is? Then tell me who that woman is. I'll definitely go find her in the future," sneered Nanyan Lai. "That woman possesses a guest's medallion from the Sea Goddess Hall, and she's definitely not just an ordinary guest of the hall. I think she should be Qin Yixuan of the 8 great human experts, a 16th star sea soul warrior," sneered the shopkeeper. "What? Shopkeeper, what did you say? That woman's a 16th star expert?" Nanyan Lai cried out in fright. Blood immediately drained from his face. Chapter 902, The Highest Kill Command. Jian Qin, Xia Wang, and the Grand Elder of the Turtle Clan left the city together. They flew in the air while Jian Qin constantly examined the King armament in his hand. He would use his hand to touch the shiny blade surface from time to time as he looked at it with unconcealable fondness. "This King armament just suits me too well. I'll even be able to fight ordinary 15th star sea soul warriors when I come across them," Jian Qin mumbled to himself. His voice was filled with happiness. The King armament was extremely powerful and not as gentle as a ruler armament. Even an Earth Saint Master could use a ruler armament and use it to increase their strength by a few levels without any backlash. However, the King armament in his hand could shoot out sharp strands of sword chi all by itself. No one below Saint King could use it, or they would be injured before they could even harm an opponent. If Jian Qin wanted to wield the King armament, he needed to have his chaotic force circulating such that his defenses were pushed to the maximum. That way, he would not be injured by the sword chi. However, even when that was the case, the sword chi from the King armament, when he wielded it, would leave white marks on his skin. The Grand Elder of the Turtle Clan could not help but sigh secretly when he saw the toughness of Jian Qin's body. He really is a ruler of the Turtle Clan. The toughness of his body is so great. He's actually making full use of our clan's special characteristics. There are very few King armaments on the Tian Yuan continent as well. Only some ancient families will possess a few. I never thought I'd obtain such a rare item so easily. Jian Qin was ecstatic. It may have cost him 50 million grand quality crystal coins, but to Jian Qin, even 100 million grand quality crystal coins could not compare to the King armament, let alone 50 million. Suddenly, Jian Qin's eyes narrowed abruptly. He finally looked away from the King armament. Up ahead, a dazzling red light shot directly toward him with lightning speed. It was so fast that it covered several dozen kilometers in a mere second, rapidly approaching Jian Qin. The Grand Elder of the Turtle Clan also discovered the red light, and his expression immediately changed. "Be careful, ruler." He appeared before Jian Qin with a flash, directly throwing a clean fist toward the red light. However, it seemed to be intangible, without a corporeal form. The Grand Elder's fist actually directly passed through the red light without blocking it at all. The red light passed through the Grand Elder's body and directly struck Jian Qin. Immediately, Jian Qin began to shine with a splendid red glow. It condensed into a vague red blade which hung over his head. This is the highest kill command from the Heaven's Spirit Hall. It has the ability to seal up the targeted person's strength. The Grand Elder's expression changed abruptly when he saw the red light over Jian Qin's head. Jian Qin also became stern. He could feel a weird energy invade his body, wrapping around his dantian in the form of a net. "It wants to seal up my strength. Don't you dare." Jian Qin became furious inside. With a thought, the chaotic Niden in his dantian began to spew out large quantities of chaotic force. It surged wildly in his body with a devastating aura, before transforming into the shape of an enraged dragon. It charged at the sealing energy with an unstoppable force. Chaotic force collided with the energy and they immediately fell into a stalemate. However, how could ordinary energies match the strength and uniqueness of chaotic force? Very quickly, the energy started to be devoured by the chaotic force slowly, before completely disappearing. There were no traces left. Jian Qin could feel that his chaotic force had increased by a tiny strand once again after devouring the energy. However, the amount was tiny, almost insignificant. The red light around Jian Qin also gradually disappeared after the energy had been devoured. 2 loud whistles resounded from afar. 2 people shot toward Jian Qin with lightning speed as they radiated with killing intent. They did not come with good intentions. Crap, they're 16th star experts. They're people of the Heaven's Spirit Hall. Run, ruler. The Grand Elder's expression immediately became extremely ugly and he fled into the distance as he tugged Jian Qin along. However, they were still not as fast as the 2 16th star experts. Before they had even traveled much, the 2 16th star experts shot over their heads as streaks of light and blocked their path. The 2 16th star experts were young men who seemed to be in their 30s. They wore black robes and although their appearances were not particularly outstanding, they seemed exactly the same. They were twins. The 2 people glared at Jian Qin while killing intent flickered in their eyes. One of them sneered, "I didn't think someone would still be able to flee after being marked by the highest kill command of the Heaven's Spirit Hall. You're actually Zhou Tianzi and Zhou Yunzi of the 8 great human experts. You're outsiders yet you want to try to take the life of a ruler of my turtle clan. Don't you want to stay in the sea realm anymore?" The Grand Elder called out. Zhou Tianzi and Zhou Yunzi laughed together. "We may be outsiders but we're working for the Heaven's Spirit Hall. It's not us who want to kill him this time but the Heaven's Spirit Hall. The only person you can blame is that ignorant brat for offending the hall. Die." Huge, palm-width swords appeared in both their hands. They swung down suddenly, shooting 2 strands of huge sword chi at Jian Qin. Although they had struck out casually, any casual strike from them as 5th heavenly layer Saint Kings possessed the power to destroy the surroundings. The 2 sword chi cut through space with powerful ripples of energy and headed directly for Jian Qin. "I'll stop them." "Ruler, please leave," cried out the Grand Elder. His body began to swell quickly, turning into a 10-meter wide turtle that shielded Jian Qin. He used his shell to take on the casual strikes from the 2 people. The Grand Elder of the Turtle Clan was of the 4th heavenly layer. He was slightly weaker than Zhou Tianzi and Zhou Yunzi but his most terrifying aspect was his defenses. Even when 5th heavenly layer Saint Kings wanted to injure the Grand Elder, they would need to use all their power. The Grand Elder was not injured at all after taking on the 2 attacks. He threw Jian Qin far away with some might, before turning around to fight the 2 of them. He wanted to keep them busy to earn some valuable time for Jian Qin. "Brother, keep him busy. I'll go kill the target," Zhou Yunzi said emotionlessly. He immediately began to pummel the Grand Elder with sharp attacks. "All right. I only need a single strike to kill him," Zhou Tianzi said confidently, immediately chasing after Jian Qin. "Don't you dare injure the ruler." "Secret technique of the Turtle Clan, whirled within the shell," cried out the Grand Elder. His shell immediately detached from his body, flying into the air and transforming into a humongous shell in the blink of an eye. The shell was 10,000 meters wide. It floated in the sky like a storm cloud, causing the surroundings to darken abruptly. A huge suction force appeared from within the shell. It sucked Zhou Tianzi and Zhou Yunzi into it, before the Grand Elder also disappeared into the shell itself. He seemed to have fused with it. Boom! 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 Muffled rumbles constantly resounded from within the shell and it began to shake violently in the air. A vast presence could be vaguely felt within the shell before it fell from the sky. It struck the ground heavily, forming a huge crater and kicking up dirt into the air. Zhou Tianzi and Zhou Yunzi were currently fighting the Grand Elder inside the shell. It could be imagined just how intense the battle was. Jian Qin's eyes flickered with a certain light as he stared at the shaking shell. He knew that the Grand Elder was unable to trap Zhou Tianzi and Zhou Yunzi for long and that they would break free very soon. He was unable to flee very far in that short amount of time. He was hesitating about whether he should cast God's Descent to kill off the 2 of them. He needed to pay at least 1,000 years of his life to kill off 2 5th heavenly layer Saint Kings, as he was unsure whether the two of them could use Saint Tier battle skills or not. At this moment, a blue light shot toward Jian Chen from afar. A stern light exploded in Jian Chen's eyes as the King Armament appeared in his hand. He directly chopped toward the light with a destructive aura. However, the blue light directly passed through the King Armament and disappeared into Jian Chen's body. Immediately, he began to shine with a dazzling blue light, while a deep blue serpent dragon condensed above his head. It opened its large mouth and revealed its sharp teeth. The highest kill command of the Serpent God Hall, Xia Wang cried out. His expression was extremely ugly. The highest kill command of the Serpent God Hall was the same as the highest kill command of the Heaven's Spirit Hall. Not only would it make the target stand out very much, it possessed the ability to seal the target's strength. Jian Chen's face drained of blood. He did not think that experts from the Serpent God Hall would appear at this moment as well. The situation was turning against him more and more. Jian Chen immediately devoured the energy of the seal using the chaotic force within him. As soon as he had devoured it all, a figure shot over with lightning speed and a bold aura. Its target was Jian Chen. A sliver of determination flashed across Jian Chen's eyes. He immediately began to prepare for the casting of God's descent. He had no other choices now. Jian Chen formed a seal with his hand before his chest. He raised his head, facing the sky, beginning the process of casting the arte. Ha ha ha, so you're the person marked by the Serpent God Hall's kill command. A mere 14th star Sea Soul warrior, yet the Serpent God Hall attaches so much importance to you, even getting me, Ling Fengxing, to personally head out. Dying by my hands will make you content even after you arrive in the next world. Li Fengxing laughed aloud as he radiated with a bold presence. Li Fengxing noticed that Jian Chen was in the process of casting the God's descent soon afterward. He produced a soft interjection of surprise and said, "Are you trying to cast a secret technique to flee? How can I let you do that?" Li Fengxing's speed increased abruptly. He arrived before Jian Chen as a blur and directly kicked him in the chest. Spurt. Jian Chen vomited a mouthful of blood. Charging up the forbidden arte took some time, but Li Fengxing did not give him that time at all. His kick had forcefully disrupted Jian Chen's preparations. Chapter 903. The Grand Elder's Death. Jian Chen shot backward as blood spurted from his mouth. Li Fengxing's kick had already broken several of his ribs, injuring him quite badly. Jian Chen's heart sank. Now that his forbidden arte had been disrupted, he no longer possessed any methods to threaten 5th heavenly layer Saint Kings. Li Fengxing would never give him more time to cast God's descent. He did not even have the ability to run anymore from the pursuit of a 16th star expert. He would be able to temporarily seek refuge within the Saint artifact, but if Li Fengxing took the artifact and brought it back to the Serpent God Hall, the situation would become even worse. Brat, die. Li Fengxing laughed aloud with a remorseless expression. He directly struck out with his palm toward Jian Chen, completely looking down on him. Jian Chen became stern and his eyes narrowed. Suddenly, a towering sword intent began to radiate from his body. In that moment, he seemed to become a divine sword that radiated with a shocking glint. The King Armament appeared in his hand, and with a wild jolt of his arm, he stabbed out like a bolt of lightning. The sword was extremely fast. The ordinarily looking thrust contained Jian Chen's comprehensions of the path of the sword, which made the ordinary strike seem perfect and flawless. The King Armament collided with Li Fengxing's palm with a devastating presence. His palm was directly pierced by the weapon, causing blood to flow from the wound immediately. Li Fengxing produced a surprised sound. He abruptly clenched his hand that had been stabbed by the King Armament, forcefully trapping the sword in his hand. He gazed at it in surprise. This is actually a saint weapon left behind by a 9th heavenly layer Saint King after he passes away, Li Fengxing said in surprise. He paid no attention to the great pain in his hand. A sliver of light immediately flashed across Jian Chen's eyes when he saw Li Fengxing trap the King Armament. With a thought, devastating chaotic force immediately shot out from the weapon, wreaking havoc wildly at Li Fengxing's hand. It caused his wound to constantly enlarge. This time, Li Fengxing's expression finally changed. He unconsciously opened his hand, staring at the Qing armament in shock. Just what is this power? It's so weird. Jian took advantage of the situation and pulled back the Qing armament. Without any hesitation, he immediately began to move his arm at extreme speeds. The Qing armament was thrust out constantly, forming a flock of densely packed blurs toward Li Fengxing. The blurs were extremely close to one another and overlapped with each other, completely enveloping the space before him. Jian's fast sword style was displayed to its maximum. In that moment, he stabbed out countless times, while his speed had reached an unbelievable level. Li Fengxing became momentarily stunned. He stared at the sword blurs and could not help but praise. Everstrike looks like a blur, but it's actually completely solid. Not bad, you are quite fast. If there was any other person of the same cultivation level fighting you, they would die for sure. Too bad the difference of our strength is too great. Just your speed is not enough to deal with me. Freeze, space. Li Fengxing extended a hand and pointed out with a finger. The wall of sword blurs immediately disappeared. Jian's surroundings had frozen, binding him tightly in the air. Jian's heart sank. He poured the chaotic force in him wildly into the Qing armament. The weapon immediately began to radiate with an even more terrifying aura of destruction, causing the surroundings to tremble slightly. It actually forcefully broke through Li Fengxing's frozen space. Jian rejoiced when he saw how the space frozen by a 16th star expert had been broken by himself. The power of the Qing armament really did not disappoint him. He was actually able to display such strength all by himself. Jian showed no hesitation at all and used all his strength to strike Li Fengxing with his weapon. You have some ability. You're actually able to break through my frozen space with your strength of the 14th star. Li Fengxing marveled once again as the shock in his eyes thickened. He was the most powerful of the 5 great magical beast experts, possessing strength of the 6th heavenly layer. He felt rather astonished that Jian could break through his frozen space. However, a sneer soon formed on his face. I'm not going to waste time with you anymore. I'll end your life now and complete the mission early. That way, I can leave a little earlier too. It's too close to the Sea Goddess Hall here. Kid, I'll show you my true strength now. Li Fengxing clenched his hand into a fist as invisible world force condensed quickly. Controlled by a 6th heavenly layer Saint King, the world force was much, much greater than what a saint ruler could control. It was the same power, but the difference was just overwhelmingly large. This is a punch with 40% of my power, growled Li Fengxing. He punched out and the space ahead distorted greatly. A mad light appeared in Jian's eyes. Right now, all he could do was fight for his life. There was no more room for escape. He stabbed out with the Qing armament as hard as he could, colliding with Li Fengxing's fist. A mouthful of blood spurted from Jian's mouth, raining down onto the land below. He shot backward like a cannonball and became pale. There was not even a shred of blood remaining in his face. He constantly coughed up blood, as well as pieces of his organs. Although the strike was only 40% of Li Fengxing's strength, he was a 6th heavenly layer Saint King after all. It still was not something a saint ruler like Jian could block. He had been heavily wounded. You're actually still not dead. Li Fengxing stared at Jian, who remained hovering in the air. His face was filled with disbelief. He knew the power of his punch very well. It was enough to kill off any 9th heavenly layer saint ruler. Since 40% of my power is not enough to kill you, let me show you 50%, Li Fengxing said coldly. At this moment, the sky was suddenly covered up by something, causing the surroundings to darken abruptly. Constant muffled sounds rang out from a huge turtle shell as it rocked and flew backward in the sky. Afterward, a powerful suction appeared from it again, sucking Li Fengxing away as well. A vicious light shone in Li Fengxing's eyes. He roared furiously, "You old turtle. Your shell may be tough, but resisting the twins' attacks is your maximum, and yet you still want to suck me in too. I'll give you death since you're looking for it. I'll smash your shell. Li Fengxing's voice became fainter and fainter, before being sucked into the shell. Run, ruler. The Grand Elder's voice resounded from the shell. He huffed and puffed as he spoke, making him seem slightly weak. He clearly was in quite some pain. Although the defenses of members of the Turtle Clan were great, resisting the attacks from both Zhou Tianzi and Zhou Yunzi was already rather difficult for him. He had almost reached his limit. Grand Elder. Jian Qin called out. He looked at the turtle shell worriedly. It was already extremely difficult for the Grand Elder to keep the twins busy. Now with the addition of an even stronger Li Fengxing, it was just making the situation even worse for him. Don't worry about me. Run, ruler, the Grand Elder's voice rang out once again. His voice was filled with anxiety. Jian Qin stared deeply at the giant shell. He had only known the Grand Elder for a very short amount of the time, yet he was actually throwing down his life to save him. This touched him deeply. He gritted his teeth before flying off with Xia Wang, hurrying toward the Sea Goddess Hall as fast as he could. You old turtle, I'll make your wish come true since you want to die so much, Li Fengxing's roar resounded from within the shell. Shortly afterward, a vast energy began to radiate from the shell, causing the shell to rumble loudly. It was like thunder in the sky, reverberating over hundreds of kilometers away. The shell trembled violently and a faint crack appeared. Old turtle, your shell might be tough, but I'd like to see whether it can resist Saint-Tier battle skills from the two of us. Zhou Tianzi's voice also rang out from within the shell. Immediately, the wind and clouds of the surroundings began to change. A terrifying presence descended from the sky, filling the entire region. Zhou Tianzi and Zhou Yunzi had begun to cast Saint-Tier battle skills together. Boom! With a violent rumble, the Saint-Tier battle skills from the two brothers erupted from within the shell. It struck the shell viciously. The shell directly shattered in the sky, while the powerful force shot off in all directions. The sky began to rain blood, dyeing the entire space red. A heavy smell of blood pervaded the entire region, while the Grand Elder's body had already disappeared. Leave, ruler. A message that originated from the Grand Elders will boomed in the sky, before disappearing. He had been slain by the Saint-Tier battle skills cast by Zhou Tianzi and Zhou Yunzi simultaneously. Only the will to protect Jian Qin remained, producing a weak sound before it quickly dissipated into the surroundings. Grand Elder. Jian Qin cried out sorrowfully. He was torn with grief. He knew the outcome of the Grand Elder and had also felt the soul of the Grand Elder disappear. Only his will remained, and it was still worrying over his safety. The blood rain dyed him red. It was the blood of the Grand Elder. The Grand Elder had died to save Jian Qin, dying to Zhou Tianzi and Zhou Yunzi's Saint-Tier battle skills. Two enormous sword chi cut through the rain of blood as they descended, heading straight for Jian Qin and Xia Wang. The twins had slashed out toward them from thousands of meters away with their sword, which had completely locked onto their presence. Two huge fingers shot over from behind Jian Qin at this very moment. It zoomed past Jian Qin and Xia Wang with an unbelievable speed, directly colliding with the two strands of sword chi. Chapter 904, Returning to the Turtle Clan Boom. With a violent rumble, the fingers completely condensed out of energy collided with the sword chi shot out by the twins. It immediately erupted with a terrifying residual energy which shook up the surroundings. It caused space to tremble. The rain of blood had already disappeared, knocked far away by the violent energy. However, the ground below was dyed red, already covered by the blood from the Grand Elder's death. How dare you foreigners! You've killed an elder of my Sea Goddess Hall. I will not be letting you go, an old voice boomed from behind. It was filled with anger, crushing down with a terrifying pressure. The expressions of the twins and Li Fengxing immediately changed abruptly when they felt the terror of this pressure. Although they could not see the person, they had already understood that he would be far beyond what they could handle. The person is at least equal to Hall Elder. Li Fengxing became stern. Without any hesitation, he turned around to flee, no longer bothering with Jian Qin. Every single moment counted when fleeing away from an expert like that. Any hesitation could result in being caught up. At that time, even if they did not die, they would suffer quite a lot. The Hall's mission was very important, but their lives held even more importance. He's come quite quickly. It's at least a 9th heavenly layer Saint King, or maybe even an expert at great perfection. Let's go. The twins had also become stern, unwilling to stay for even an extra second. They turned around and fled, disappearing into the horizon in the blink of an eye. Jian Shen was intoxicated by sorrow. He raised his head to look at the blue sky while his face was filled with grief. The giant turtle shell had already disappeared from the sky, and the Grand Elder's familiar figure was gone too. The only thing that remained without dispersing completely was a will. It was the Grand Elder's will before death, filled with regret and concern. The Grand Elder's soul had been wiped out. Even his corpse did not exist anymore. All that was left was a ground full of blood and countless shattered pieces of palm-sized shell pieces. Grand Elder, Jian Chen's voice was filled with sorrow. He had not met the Grand Elder very long ago, but he had sacrificed his life in order to save him. His soul had been dispersed without even leaving behind a corpse. It was a tragic outcome. What the Grand Elder had paid was something he was unable to pay back even with his entire life. His soul was lost, without any way of recovering it. Even the origin energy of Radiant Saint Force did not possess the power to revive him. Although the origin energy could revive the dead, this could only happen if their souls remained and their bodies were in good shape. The Grand Elder currently fit none of these criteria. A figure quickly arrived before Jian Chen. He was an old man who seemed to be in his 20s and was the Hall Elder that had hurried over from the hall. It was Elder Hong. The Elder stared at the ground full of blood with a sunken face while killing intent flickered in his eyes. He said coldly, "The Serpent God Hall and the Heaven Spirit Hall are becoming bolder and bolder. They actually killed one of our elders. It's a pity that I've come too late." Elder Hong floated before Jian Chen. He looked at the sky and gave out a deep sigh. The Grand Elder may be dead, but he's unable to truly rest. His will remains. Elder Hong grabbed at the empty space. The will that floated around in the surroundings quickly condensed, before forming the Grand Elder's hunchbacked figure. He was as faint as a shadow. Grand Elder, Jian Chen could not help but cry out when he saw the Grand Elder's figure. His voice was filled with grief. He knew that this had only been condensed from the Grand Elder's will and would disperse very quickly. It would not exist for very long. I've been useless, unable to protect my ruler. The 30,000 years of hope for the clan has disappeared. That was the message in the Grand Elder's will. It was his final thought before death, filled with great amounts of regret. That was the reason why it could form a will. Don't worry, Grand Elder. I will definitely revive the Turtle Clan. This is my oath to you, Jian Chen said to the Grand Elder's will. His voice was filled with determination. He needed to fulfill the Grand Elder's final wish as he had died for him. The Grand Elder's will slowly dispersed, disappearing with the wind. From then onward, he had left the world forever. Jian Chen stared blankly at the empty space, without coming to his senses even after a very long time. A while later, he slowly fell to the ground, picking up every single piece of the scattered shell fragments with trembling hands. This was the only thing the Grand Elder had left behind. He wanted to treat it as the Grand Elder's body and bring it back to the clan, before burying it properly. Sigh. Elder Hong sighed deeply as he watched this from the sky. He did not leave and instead stuck around to wait for Jian Chen to collect all the shell pieces. Xia Wang quickly began to help out too, collecting every single piece of the scattered shell fragments with Jian Chen. The two of them spent a total of 7 days before they picked up all the pieces. Jian Chen stored them in a space ring. Jian Chen, come back to the hall with me, Elder Hong finally spoke after waiting for 7 days. Jian Chen shook his head gently and said, "No, Elder Hong, I don't want to return for now. I want to go to the Turtle Clan to bury the Grand Elder." Elder Hong pondered in silence for a while before replying, "All right then. I'll devote some effort into paying attention to the movements of the two other halls in this period of time to prevent them from sending other experts. If you encounter any troubles within the Sea Goddess Hall's territory, just present the medallion from the Hall Master. With that, Elder Hong turned around and left. Jian Chen and Xia Wang also left after Elder Hong's departure. They directly made way for the tribe of the Turtle Clan. The second and third elder were currently discussing something secretive in the Turtle Clan. They had cast down a powerful barrier in their surroundings, isolating their voices from outside. Second elder, the situation doesn't seem too great. A ruler of our Turtle Clan has actually reappeared after 30,000 years. That'll ruin our plans, the third elder said gruffly. The second elder nodded sternly. Problems occurring in the nick of the moment are indeed not beneficial for us. It's fortunate that this ruler is not strong, so the two of us can suppress him for some time. However, the Grand Elder has already left with him. It'll be difficult for us to assassinate him with the Grand Elder by his side. If he does not die, the Turtle Clan will end up in his control sooner or later. We need to contact the Taihong clan and get them to follow through with the plan as fast as possible, the third elder said gruffly. At this very moment, the second elder's expression changed. He waved his hand and cancelled the barrier, speaking toward the outside. Didn't I say to not disturb us unless it's important? Reporting to the second and third elder, the ruler has returned, a heavy voice sounded from outside. What? He's come again? Both of their expressions changed slightly as they looked at each other before walking out in unison. Currently, Jian Chen stood emotionlessly in the huge, central square of the tribe as he held a space ring. Xia Wang stood to his side, a step away, observing the surroundings cautiously. Around the two of them had already gathered a great group of people. There were so many, to the point where it boxed them in. They were all members of the Turtle Clan and they all looked toward Jian Chen. Their faces were filled with doubt or excitement, but no one held any hostility. I feel a weird pressure from him. It seems to be the ruler's chi. Is he really a ruler? Is he really a ruler of our Turtle Clan? The ruler of our clan has finally returned, 30,000 years, a whole 30,000 years. We've finally waited up till the appearance of the ruler. It's time for us to regain our former glory. The surrounding clansmen all discussed excitedly or with mixed emotions. A few of the older members had even been moved to tears. The second and third elder have arrived. A loud voice sounded from the crowd. All the people shuffled as they formed a path. The two elders walked in from outside with long strides, while a group of saint rulers followed behind them. Why have you returned? Where's the Grand Elder? The second elder stared directly at Jian Chen. His tone was not very kind. The Grand Elder's dead. Jian Chen's voice was extremely heavy. The two elders became stunned at the same time. They asked in disbelief, "What did you say? The Grand Elder's dead?" The surrounding clansmen broke into an uproar when they heard that. They all revealed expressions of disbelief. Jian Chen said nothing, passing over the space ring in his hand to the second elder carefully. The second elder accepted the ring with suspicion and looked through it. The moment he saw what was inside, his expression changed greatly, now replaced with sorrow. The third elder seemed to realize something when he saw the second elder's change in expression. He immediately became stern, snatching the space ring from the second elder's hands to look through it. He then became filled with grief as well. Just how did the Grand Elder die? The third elder asked sorrowfully. The Grand Elder was killed by Li Fengxing of the Serpent God Hall and Zhou Tianzi and Zhou Yunzi of the Heaven Spirit Hall to save me, Jian Chen said with a deep voice. What? So you were the one who was responsible for his death? The second elder became furious, yelling at Jian Chen as he pointed a finger at him. I was responsible for the Grand Elder's death. But it has already happened. We should give him a proper burial, said Jian Chen. The two elders looked at each other and said nothing. They immediately began to hold a dignified funeral for the Grand Elder. Soon afterward, the news of the death of the Turtle Clan's Grand Elder was spread everywhere. It caused quite a large disturbance in the territory of the Sea Goddess Hall. After all, the Grand Elder was a 15th star expert, as well as an elder of the Sea Goddess Hall. His death was an extremely disturbing piece of news. Hundreds of thousands of kilometers away from the Turtle Clan, 3 middle-aged men sat with their legs crossed in a grand and extravagant castle. We've just received the news that the Grand Elder of the Turtle Clan has died. There's no one to stop us now. Send the order down, prepare for action. A blue-robed, long-haired man said gruffly. The Grand Elder may be dead, but a ruler has actually appeared from the Turtle Clan. Fortunately, he's not very strong, so he can't stop us. However, it's for the best if our clan, the Taihong clan, moves quick. We can't give the ruler time for growth. This time, the speaker was a black-robed, skinny man. Chapter 905. The Taihong clan, the Turtle Clan is still dealing with the Grand Elder's funeral. We'll head over after the funeral. That way, it'll be even easier for us to annex them. The final man had also spoken. Another great piece of news spread throughout the entire Sea Realm as the Grand Elder's funeral was held. The 8 fragments of the Octoterra map had all appeared, and the 8 pieces would be united as one in a year's time, where all 3 territories bordered one another. They would go on a search for the Octoterra Divine Hall. A huge commotion erupted in the Sea Realm since the Octoterra Divine Hall was about to appear. The Divine Hall had been left behind by the Octoterra Emperor near the end of his life. It was rumored that he went without disciples and always moved alone. As such, he had left his legacy and all his wealth in the Divine Hall. Afterward, he used a great ability as an emperor to hide the hall somewhere that no one could find. Only through the 8 map fragments he left behind could the exact location be found. The Sea Goddess Hall's territory immediately began to churn secretly with the news of the map fragments. Many large organizations and clans began to make their intense preparations, pouring all their efforts into the clansmen that were at the peak of the 9th heavenly layer. They increased their strength as much as they could, before sending them to the Sea Goddess Hall in hopes of earning a place to enter the Octoterra Divine Hall. Many large organizations fought extremely hard over these opportunities. They basically used all the connections they had, and many clans had even offered up invaluable treasures to Hall Elders, all for the hope that the Hall Elders could give one place to their clan. This was because only through entering the Hall did people have a chance of obtaining the Octoterra Emperor's legacy. This was a great treasure that could not be bought with money, attracting all the experts in the Sea Realm. It made countless people green with envy. Other than the legacy, there were also chances of obtaining the Emperor's treasures placed within the Divine Hall. All the treasures collected by the Emperor would definitely be extraordinary and invaluable. The entire Turtle Clan was still filled with deep sorrow as they were still holding the Grand Elder's funeral. All the people of the clan were heavy-hearted. The Grand Elder was the strongest person of their clan. With his departure, the clan's strength would weaken once more, growing further and further away from how it was like before. 8 map fragments brought together in a year, the opening of the Octoterra Divine Hall. Jian had also learned of this news as he participated in the Grand Elder's funeral. He immediately clenched his fists tightly. I definitely need to go into the Octoterra Divine Hall. I hope whatever is inside doesn't disappoint me. Once I become powerful enough, I'll kill my way through to the Heaven Spirit Hall and Serpent God Hall personally. I'll personally slaughter Li Fengxing, Zhou Tianzi, and Zhou Yunzi to avenge the Grand Elder. A sliver of powerful killing intent flashed through his eyes. The Grand Elder's funeral took 7 whole days before coming to a close. However, the clan did not quieten down afterward as a result. As soon as the funeral had ended, more than 10 experts arrived at the clan threateningly. They floated high up in the sky, gazing coldly at all the Turtle Clan members from above. A saint ruler said with a loud, clear voice, "We are the people of the Taihong clan. All of you listen up. From today onward, your Turtle Clan will be controlled by us, the Taihong clan. You will become part of us. If there is anyone who disagrees," as he spoke, he pointed out, and a powerful energy immediately shot from his fingertip, striking a huge rock below. With a boom, the rock shattered in all directions. He then continued, "Do you see that? If anyone disagrees, that'll be your outcome. The turtle clan immediately became silent. Shortly afterward, all the clan members stared at the people in the air and started crying out angrily. Their Taihong clan actually wants to annex us, how dare they? When we were powerful before, the Taihong clan didn't even exist. It's wishful thinking if you want our clan to become a subsidiary of yours. We'd rather die than follow you. We'd rather have the ground dyed with our blood than bow down to your Taihong clan, right? I'd rather die than follow them. Even if I die here, I'll make the Taihong clan pay a heavy price. Each and every member of the clan was aggravated. None of them acted cowardly. The turtle clan may have declined now, but its former glory could not be dirted. The second and third elder looked at each other before rising up into the air in unison. They faced the people of the Taihong clan together, radiating with a powerful presence. All the members of the clan quieted down immediately as they saw the two strongest experts of the clan head out. Taihong clan, you're daydreaming if you want to annex our clan. You better leave. We will not be bowing down before anybody, growled the second elder. Right, we're not going to be bowing down to anyone. People immediately agreed from below. Of the dozen or so people from the Taihong clan, the leading middle-aged man sneered, "Does your turtle clan really want rivers of blood? With the strength of our Taihong clan, we can easily wipe you out. Aren't you going to consider for the clan as the second elder?" This middle-aged man was the ancestor of the Taihong clan. He was called Taido and was also the most powerful member of the clan. He was a saint king of the fifth heavenly layer. The second elder pondered quietly before continuing, "If you can defeat the third elder and I all by yourself, then we, the turtle clan, will bow down to your Taihong clan temporarily." Taido laughed aloud. "Alright, I'll fight the two of you. Perfect opportunity for me to see just how powerful the defenses of your turtle clan is like." Taido turned around and flew off into the distance as he said that. The two elder looked at each other and followed Taido without saying anything. Just the residual energy from battles between Saint Kings could flatten the ground completely. If they fought above the clan, it would be a catastrophe. That was why they moved to an empty area several hundred kilometers away. All the saint rulers within the turtle clan followed along. Only Jian Chen and Xia Wang remained. "Do you want to go have a look?" Xia Wang asked. Jian Chen shook his head and said calmly, "No, because the outcome has already been determined." A violent boom reverberated from several hundred kilometers away and the vast energy wreaked havoc in the surroundings. It caused the sky and the ground to undergo changes. The two Saint Kings of the Turtle clan had already begun their battle with the ancestor of the Taihong clan. Each and every member of the Turtle clan stared anxiously at the battle that had erupted far away. Although they could not see the exact details of the battle, the outcome would determine the clan's fate. As a result, everyone paid great attention to it. The fight did not last for very long. The two elders of the Turtle clan flew over pale-faced very soon. They were in a horrible shape, with residual blood at their mouths. The saint rulers of the Turtle clan that had followed them to watch the battle were all dejected and down. The two elders arrived back at the clan and said dejectedly, "We've lost." The entire clan fell into a silence at that very moment. All the clansmen felt extremely heavy-hearted. The second and third elder were the strongest people in the Turtle clan. If they could not beat the ancestor of the Taihong clan when working together, then there was no more hope left for them. The group of people from the Taihong clan also flew over from afar. The Taihong clan ancestor was joyful as he led the group, laughing aloud. "According to the agreement from before, your Turtle clan will now become a tribe of my Taihong clan. We are in control now. Second elder, third elder, we can never bow down. Why don't we just offer up a great price to recruit some experts to help out our tribe?" growled a saint ruler of the Turtle clan. He was unwilling to give in. "Yeah, we'll put up a great price to invite experts." Many people repeated this in agreement immediately. "Shut up," the third elder was sunken-faced as he said, "Do you think it's really that easy to recruit experts who can fend off the Taihong clan? And we had an agreement earlier. Do you really want the Turtle clan to go down as liars?" The third elder is right. We cannot be liars. The second elder also spoke his mind, before looking at the ancestor of the Taihong clan. Taihong clan, you've won. From today onward, our turtle clan will become a part of your Taihong. Wait. Before the second elder could finish speaking, a sudden voice cut him off. Jian strode over from afar and said with a loud, clear voice, I am the ruler of the turtle clan, so I have the right to participate in all matters regarding the clan. I shall now declare as the ruler that we, the turtle clan, will never become a part of the Taihong clan. Jian never wanted to be the ruler of the turtle clan, but he needed to complete the Grand Elder's final wish as he had died for him. He had to take on the heavy responsibility of reviving the turtle clan and returning it to its former glory. The faces of the second and third elder both darkened. The second elder glared at Jian as he yelled, even if I ignore the fact that you haven't formally become the ruler of the clan yet, just your decision is enough to destroy the entire clan. The Grand Elder already died because of you. Do you want the entire clan to go down as well? The third elder also spoke up. He was very rude. Jian paid no attention to the two elders' retorts and glanced at the surrounding clansmen. He said loudly, does everyone support my idea or the two elders' idea? To think that we were once so glorious. We may have declined, but we will never bow down to others. I support the ruler. Only under the lead of the ruler can our clan regain our glory. For the future of the turtle clan, I support all the decisions made by the ruler. Chapter 906, 5 Years Agreement. We support all the decisions of the ruler. We support all the decisions of the ruler. The members of the turtle clan all began to chant, growing louder and clearer each time. In the end, almost all the clansmen began to participate in the chanting, showing their support for the ruler's decision. The second and third elder both became extremely ugly. They had never thought that the situation would develop in such a direction. This was not what they had wished to see at all. We've underestimated the ruler's status in the ordinary clansmen's hearts. He's completely exceeded us to them, the third elder sent a mental message to the second elder. His voice was gruff. The second elder nodded slowly, remaining silent while his darkened face. The past glory of the clan had all been brought on by rulers. At their very peak, the clan had a total of 4 rulers at the same time, and every single one of them was equivalent to a hall elder. They were one of the few superpowers within the sea realm. As the rulers disappeared, fewer and fewer appeared. That was the cause behind the decline of the clan, making it weaken with each generation. It had already been 30,000 years since a ruler had last appeared in the clan. It caused them to decline from their glorious past to today. They would soon become a second-rate clan that did not even have 15th-star Sea Soul warriors or even a third-rate clan. Their status was teetering. Not to mention the fact that the clan now faced the threat of being annexed by the Taihong clan. They had almost fallen into despair. As a result, the reappearance of a ruler garnered the support of many clansmen, which even made many people believe that this would be the end of their declining days. They thought that the ruler would lead them on the path to glory once again. The members of the Taihong clan all bore extremely ugly expressions, while the ancestor's face became as dark as a storm cloud. He had already used items that tempted the second and third elder to bribe them. Annexing the turtle clan was also something he had already planned with the two of them long ago. It was supposed to proceed very smoothly, yet a nobody had appeared out of who knows where and destroyed it all just as it was about to succeed. It made him absolutely furious. Since the ruler refuses to become a part of our Taihong clan, we can only take action against you. After I capture you, I wonder if your turtle clan will submit or not, growled the ancestor. Afterward, he arrived before Jian with a flash, directly extending a hand out to grab him. Jian remained calm. He pulled out a medallion from his space ring and placed it before him. He said, have a look at this. The ancestor's hand forcefully stopped a meter away from Jian throat. He stared fixedly at the medallion in Jian hand while he revealed a doubtful expression. However, his expression changed abruptly in the next moment. He backpedaled several steps, now filled with shock and disbelief. Hall, the ancestor produced a frightened cry. He had already paled. He was unable to say the second word of Hall Master, no matter what, as if it had been lodged in his throat. All the people in the surroundings became suspicious when they saw the Ancestor react in such a way. Even the second and third elders were not exempted from this, and they extended their necks to examine Jian Chen's medallion curiously. "Do you recognize this?" Jian Chen raised the medallion and asked expressionlessly. The ancestor of the Taihong clan was still a Saint King after all, so he calmed down very quickly. He sucked in a deep breath, still badly shaken as he stared at the medallion and said, "Why do you have this medallion?" This time, the ancestor's gaze toward Jian Chen had completely changed. "I think you already know why I have this medallion. Do you dare to touch me now?" Jian Chen said coldly. Deep fear appeared in the ancestor's eyes. He took a few steps back slowly as the light in his eyes flickered uneasily. After some hesitation, he said, "You may be a part of the hall and possess quite an impressive status in it, but this is still a battle between clans. The hall will not interfere with these matters." Jian Chen frowned slightly as he heard this, but he did not say anything. The ancestor continued, "I'll give you 5 years' time because of this medallion. After those 5 years, my clan will come again. At that time, it'll be useless even if you pull out that medallion." Jian Chen put the medallion away and said coldly, "Then let it be 5 years. I'll fight you as the ruler of the Turtle Clan in 5 years. If I lose, then the Turtle Clan will temporarily bow down to you. But if I win, your Taihong clan will belong to the Turtle Clan." Jian Chen's words immediately caused a great commotion in the surroundings. A few experts could already roughly feel Jian Chen's strength. He definitely was not a 15th star Sea Soul warrior, and he definitely could not increase his strength by a lot in those short 5 years. They wondered just how Jian Chen would fight with the ancestor who was of the 16th star in 5 years. The 2 elders of the Turtle Clan secretly rejoiced. They did not believe that Jian Chen could become a 15th star expert in 5 years at all. "All right, I'll fight you in 5 years, the ancestor said with the same expression. However, he secretly rejoiced. As a 5th heavenly layer Saint King, he had completely seen through Jian Chen's strength. He refused to believe that Jian Chen could raise his strength to a level where he would be able to fight him in 5 years. As the people of the Taihong clan left, the Turtle Clan cheered in jubilation. A few clansmen who did not know about his strength really did believe that their ruler had the strength to fight a 16th star expert. They all cheered, "Long live the ruler, long live the ruler." Jian Chen calmed down everyone below, before slowly scanning past the second and third elder and the saint rulers behind them with narrowed eyes. He said loudly, "Is there anyone else who's unhappy with me inheriting the position as ruler? We pay respects to the ruler." Earth-shaking cries immediately began to reverberate from the surroundings. In the blink of an eye, the area became a black mass as the ordinary clan members all bowed down. Only the 2 elders and the saint rulers remained standing. Jian Chen said nothing. He stared calmed at them with a sharp gaze. His eyes were like 2 drawn swords. "We pay respects to the ruler." This lasted for some time, before half of the saint rulers also bowed down. They accepted Jian Chen's status. Only the other half of the saint rulers and the 2 elders remained standing. The 2 elders revealed ugly expressions. Their faces darkened very much, while the saint rulers who were still standing behind them looked toward the 2 of them. The elders clearly had power over them. "Humph, let's go," snorted the second elder. He turned around and left. The third elder and the saint rulers that followed them did not stick around for much longer either, following him away. The 2 elders understood that they could do nothing now that the situation had developed like this. The ruler had already won the support of the entire clan, so even if they questioned the ruler's identity, it was useless. This was all because Jian Chen's ruler's chi was the real thing. It was not a forgery, and even the ordinary clansmen could feel it clearly. As everything had developed like this, nothing could stop Jian Chen from inheriting the position as ruler in the clan. After successfully inheriting the position, Jian Chen settled down in the Turtle Clan. He devoted all his efforts into cultivation, hoping to break through the second layer of the chaotic body within 5 years. If he did so, he would have the power to battle a fifth heavenly layer Saint King with his Qing armament. The news about a ruler reappearing in the Turtle Clan spread very quickly. For some time, all the second-rate organizations in the surroundings all paid visits to them with rich gifts to congratulate the clan, but all these miscellaneous matters were delegated to other people by Jian. He did not appear at all, remaining in the beautifully decorated hall to cultivate. The next day, Hall Elder Hong went to the Turtle Clan in search of Jian. When Jian learned that the elder had come personally, he immediately stopped cultivating and received the Hall Elder in the hall. Jian, is the final fragment of the Octoterra map on you? Elder Hong cut straight to the point and asked straightforwardly. Correct, I am indeed in possession of a map fragment. Has Elder Hong come today specifically for this matter? Asked Jian. Elder Hong nodded with a smile. I have indeed come because of that today. Jian, the Octoterra Divine Hall will be opening in a year and only people below the 15th star can enter. Each map fragment can permit 20 people to enter, so a total of 160 people will be entering from the 8 pieces. I've come today to ask you for 10 of the chances. Is that fine with you? That's fine, of course that's fine. Jian agreed without any hesitation. He only had 3 people that needed to enter, so he had no use for all the chances to permit people in. The Sea Goddess Hall had even saved his life after all. Elder Hong did not stay for much longer, leaving the clan very quickly. With the elder's departure, Jian also continued his cultivation, pouring his energy into powering up. In order to revive the Turtle Clan, he needed to be strong enough. Only power could determine everything. Without him noticing, Jian had already stayed in the Sea Realm for over a month. In the Changyang clan of Lore City on the distant Tianyuan continent, a tower several hundred meters in height had appeared. From the very top of the tower, one could see a large portion of the city. The appearance of the tower in the Changyang clan had caused quite a large disturbance in the city as it had not been built up slowly. It had appeared overnight instead, as if it had just grown out from the ground. Changyang Zhu Yayin current sat by a window in her white dress at the very top of the tower. She stared blankly in the direction of the Changyang clan's main entrance, while her gaze was sorrowful. She would sit there almost every day, sitting for several days and nights every time this happened. She was unmoving like a piece of wood, completely petrified. Sigh, a long sigh sounded from behind her. Changyang Zhu Yunshao slowly walked up to the window in a similar white robe, gazing at the misty white sky in sorrow as well. He said, it's getting closer and closer to the day where Kong'er meets the end of his life. The seal is still present in his head, so he'll never be able to become a saint ruler. I wonder where Kong'er is currently. Is he still alive? Can we ever see him again? Chapter 907, Return of the Changyang clan Ancestor. Currently, an old man flew in the sky several hundred kilometers away from Lore City. He traveled extremely fast, utilizing spatial force as he fused with the surrounding space. He traveled several kilometers in the blink of an eye. Jian Kingdom, I've returned. Lore City, I've returned. Changyang clan, I wonder if you still remember your ancestor after so many years, said the old man with a sigh as he flew. He was Changyang Zhu Yunkong, who had just returned. He was the founder of the Changyang clan, known as the Changyang clan Ancestor by people. Changyang Zhu Yunkong traveled directly for the Tianyuan continent after he had initially left Three Saint Island. He spent over a month traveling, covering several millions of kilometers before he finally returned to the Tianyuan continent. Once upon a time, Changyang Zhu Yunkong believed that he would never be able to return to the continent ever again. As a result, he was extremely excited as well as strewn between emotions when he returned this time. Finally, he could vaguely see Lore City up ahead. As he saw the huge city walls, Changyang Zhu Yunkong's excitement peaked. Arg! Changyang Zhu Yunkong roared out as he was unable to suppress his emotions. His voice was thunderous, echoing in the surroundings and spreading far off into the distance. He seemed to be venting all the steam he had gathered throughout the years. Afterward, he shot toward the Changyang clan like an arrow as he radiated with a vast presence. Changyang Zhu Yunxiao and Changyang Zhu Yayan currently gazed down at the flourishing clan from the window of the tower. Suddenly, Changyang Zhu Yunxiao's eyes narrowed and he gently raised his head to stare into the distance. He could feel the presence of a saint ruler rapidly approaching the area, but he paid no mind to it. As long as he doesn't cause trouble in the city, then let him be, thought Changyang Zhu Yunxiao. They protected the Changyang clan, and since the clan was in Lore City, they had vaguely become the protector gods of the city, which even made the kingdom's status increase greatly. I've already successfully become a saint ruler. I've gained another 2 millennia of life. I wonder if my parents are still fine. I need to pay a visit to the protector clan to see them sometime in the future. Though I wonder if they still can recognize me as I am right now. Many thoughts swam through Changyang Zhu Yunkong's head as he flew. He felt conflicted, scattered among many emotions. Changyang Zhu Yunkong boldly made his way into the city, slowly flying toward the bare center of the Changyang clan and landing there. The current Changyang clan is indeed much more powerful than before. All of this is because of my talented grandson. Changyang Zhu Yunkong constantly looked around the rebuilt clan. He was filled with excitement that he struggled to hide. How audacious! Who are you? You haven't entered through the main entrance. Don't you know the rules of our Changyang clan? A large group of guards immediately moved in unison and surrounded him as soon as he landed in the open space. They all wrapped around him aggressively. All their faces were cold. Changyang Zhu Yunkong could not help but smile when he realized the quality of the guards. The guards were much better than before, both in terms of teamwork and strength. Among them, he had even discovered a few Earth Saint Masters. The guards were never this powerful before. Just as Changyang Zhu Yunkong was about to speak, his surroundings froze abruptly. It bound him tightly, even removing his ability to talk. As he was shocked, a white-robed, middle-aged man floated down gently from the tower. He was Changyang Zhu Yunxiao. Changyang Zhu Yunxiao immediately became stunned the moment he saw Changyang Zhu Yunkong. His eyes were filled with disbelief as well as intense excitement. Although so many years had passed, Changyang Zhu Yunxiao's appearance had not changed at all. Changyang Zhu Yunkong recognized him at first glance. Changyang Zhu Yunxiao stared at the old man who had trespassed the clan in such a bold fashion and could not help but frown slightly. He felt an extremely familiar feeling from this old man, as if he had seen him somewhere before. However, he was willing to swear that he had never met this old man. No one is allowed to trespass the Changyang clan. Leave immediately and come through the main entrance, or don't blame me for being impolite, Changyang Zhu Yunxiao said normally as he suppressed the suspicions in his heart. However, just as he wanted to wave his hand and send the familiar old man out, Uncle Chang flashed past all the guards in his caretaker's attire, directly arriving before the trapped Changyang Zhu Yunkong. Uncle Chang stared blankly at Changyang Zhu Yunkong. His old face instantly became flooded with emotion as he said with a trembling voice, "Master, Master, you've finally returned, you've finally returned." 2 streaks of turbid tears rolled uncontrollably down his cheeks, before he suddenly fell to his knees. He knelt as he said emotionally, "Master, you've finally returned." The surrounding guards were all stunned by this. They looked at each other with emotions of astonishment. Uncle Chang was currently the oldest member of the clan, although he was not the patriarch. Even the patriarch needed to treat him politely. Yet Uncle Chang was now actually referring to an old man they had never met in such a way. It made them all tongue-tied. Changyang Zhu Yunxiao's complexion changed suddenly. His heart tossed and turned, extremely moved. He stared at the old man who had trespassed the clan in disbelief as he said with a trembling voice, Why, you're Konger." Changyang Zhu Yunxiao had already released Changyang Zhu Yunkong from the bindings as he said that, allowing Changyang Zhu Yunkong to regain control over his body. The white-dressed, elegant Changyang Zhu Yayan also descended from the sky quickly. She stared blankly at Changyang Zhu Yunkong's old appearance. She too was filled with emotion and disbelief. "Why, you're Konger. Are you really Konger?" Changyang Zhu Yayan said with a trembling voice. 2 streaks of emotional tears rolled from her eyes. She was overwhelmed with disbelief. When Changyang Zhu Yunkong had first left the Protector clan, he still had the appearance of a man in his 20s. That face had been burned deeply into the couple's minds, making them unable to ever forget it. However, now that they had met again, Changyang Zhu Yunkong had become a wrinkly old man. It completely overthrew what the couple had anticipated, almost causing them to fail to recognize him. Changyang Zhu Yunkong stared back at Changyang Zhu Yeyun and Changyang Zhu Yunshao with mixed emotions. He fell to his knees and said with a trembling voice, "Father, Mother, Konger has been a horrible son. I have made the 2 of you worry. Konger, it really is you." Confirming his identity, Changyang Zhu Yeyun could no longer suppress her emotions. She shot toward him like an arrow, embracing him tightly. Konger. My child, you've finally returned. Mother missed you so much. Mother had even believed that she would never see you again. Changyang Zhu Yeyun choked with sobs. The joy and other emotions in her heart had completely overwhelmed her. Changyang Zhu Yunshao, who stood to one side, also began to weep. He was extremely moved as he mumbled, "As long as you've returned. As long as you've returned. It has been so tough on you these years, Konger. Master, you've finally returned. This old servant thought he would never be able to see you again," Uncle Chang said emotionally. The surrounding guards all watched on in complete astonishment. Quickly, a few smart guard captains guessed Changyang Zhu Yunkong's identity and immediately bowed down. They cried out, "We greet the old patriarch. We greet the old patriarch." The other guards all returned to their senses and bowed down too. Afterward, all the elders and important members of the clan hurried over after receiving the news. They all came to pay their respect to the ancestor's return. "Konger, wasn't there a seal in your mind that prevented you from becoming a saint ruler? Why have you now become a saint ruler?" Changyang Zhu Yunshao asked as the 3 of them calmed down. He was filled with doubt. Changyang Zhu Yeyun had also noticed this and immediately revealed an expression of astonishment. She said, "Konger, you've actually become a saint ruler. Perhaps the seal in your head has been undone?" Changyang Zhu Yunkong thought of Jian the moment they brought this up. He immediately revealed a joyful smile and said, "Father, Mother, the reason why I could become a saint ruler was all because of a great-grandson by the name of Changyang Shangtian. He risked his life to enter the depths of the fantasy star ocean and obtained a stock of 100,000-year dragon saliva. The grass's power suppressed the seal, allowing me to finally become a saint ruler." Changyang Shangtian. It's actually him, Changyang Zhu Yunshao and Changyang Zhu Yeyun both mumbled gently. They both revealed happy smiles, before taking their son into the tower with them. A barrier was personally cast down by Changyang Zhu Yunshao around the tower, restricting any sounds from spreading to the outside. Inside, the 3 of them conversed for a whole day. In that time, Changyang Zhu Yunkong told them everything that had happened since he left the Protector clan, and also learned about the most recent matters that had happened on the continent from his parents in detail. That included the matter regarding his great-grandson, Changyang Shangtian, and the winged tiger god. Even with Changyang Zhu Yunkong's temperament, he struggled to stay calm after learning everything. He could not help but suck in a breath, quickly beginning to worry about the safety of his grandson. After all, the people searching for him were the 10 most ancient Protector clans of the continent. Shangtian, that child is currently in the sea realm. Konger, you don't need to worry about his safety for now. At least Saint Kings can't enter the sea realm. He should be relatively safe hiding there. Changyang Zhu Yunshao comforted him as soon as he noticed Changyang Zhu Yunkong's anxiety. The return of the Changyang clan ancestor caused the clan to celebrate jubilantly. In the morning of the very next day, the king hurried over impatiently after receiving the news. He had come to pay respects to the Changyang clan ancestor. However, when he arrived at the clan, Changyang Zhu Yunkong had already left the kingdom with his parents. They went to the Protector clan to get the great elders to remove the seal in his head. Chapter 908, by Jian's calculations at the same time, in a concealed basement that was several hundred meters under the Huanggu clan, hidden in an ancient forest. Several fist-sized luminous pearls were lodged in the roof of the basement, which added some light to the dark room as they shone hazily. Currently, a girl in yellow robes sat on the ground as she cultivated. She was a beautiful, possessing a face of devastating beauty. She currently sat in the center of the room like a sculpture as powerful and pure strands of water-attributed energy radiated from her body. It caused the entire room to be permeated with a hazy mist, and tiny water droplets had condensed on the surrounding walls. She was Huang Wan. She had been taken here as the disciple in name of the ancestor of the Huanggu clan quite some time ago, devoting her efforts to cultivation in this room ever since she had arrived. At this very moment, the door of the room slowly opened. A simply dressed old man walked in. His appearance was ordinary, but his eyes shone with vigor. His gaze toward Huang Wan hid a sliver of greed and coveting in its very depths. Huang Wan slowly opened her eyes, looking with spirited eyes toward the old man that had walked in from outside. She slowly stood up, before clasping her hands at the old man. Master. This old man was the ancestor of the Huanggu clan. He stared at her with a smile and said gently, "Disciple, how has your cultivation been proceeding? I thank Master for his concern. This scripture of the aqua sunflower suits this disciple very much. In just such a short period of cultivation, my strength has increased greatly. However, since disciple's saint force is water attributed, disciple's speed of cultivation should increase drastically if disciple cultivates in a place where water attributed energy of the world is rich. I hope Master can let disciple go out to find a perfect place for cultivation," said Huang Wan. Her voice was filled with spirit, like the call of a lark. It was extremely pleasant. The ancestor smiled and said, "Disciple, you need to remember that everything must proceed with at a gradual pace. Your speed of cultivation is already extremely fast, so you must not continue with undue haste. Otherwise, it might destroy your foundations. You should stay here to cultivate in this period of time, to prevent the outside world from disturbing you." Master, Huang Wan wanted to say something, but she was cut off as soon as she opened her mouth. "All right, disciple, I won't disturb you any further. Cultivate well. I hope you can reach Saint Ruler at an earlier time." With that, the ancestor left. The doors to the basement closed up once again, leaving Huang Wan to stand alone in the center of the dark room. Suddenly, a book appeared in her hand. She casually flipped through it and murmured, "Why doesn't Master give me the entirety of the scripture of the aqua sunflower? He's only given me a small part of the very start." Huang Wan looked around at the surroundings and a light flickered in her eyes. She could acutely sense that the surroundings had been enveloped by a barrier. The barrier was completely submerged into the soil, so it could not be seen at all. If she wanted to break it, she would need to break through the layer of soil first. This barrier was cast down by Master to protect this room from any external disturbances. But, Huang Wan pondered in her heart. She seemed rather confused. However, she dismissed these notions very quickly. She sat down in the room again and thought, "I'm currently a 5th cycle Earth Saint Master. I should reach the 6th cycle soon with this current speed, before reaching Heaven Saint Master. I need to cultivate hard in the upcoming period of time and reach Saint Ruler quickly. Only then can I help Jian Qin." With a thought, her face darkened. Jian Qin's resolute, handsome face flashed through her head as she began to yearn for him deeply. "Jian Qin, the entire continent is searching for you right now. Where are you? It must be very tough these days." 100,000 kilometers away from the Jian kingdom, several tens of thousands of people busied themselves with building the city at the base of the flame mercenaries. After these years of construction, the city that was completely made of tungsten alloy for the mercenaries was already 3/4 complete. The city walls were already over 70 meters in height. Although the city was incomplete, it already possessed a mighty presence. The current mercenaries were extremely influential. They had become the most powerful organization in a radius of several 100,000 kilometers. Even the hermit clans did not dare to provoke them over small matters as they had 2 saint rulers guarding them. With their connection to the Changyang clan, it even made ancient clans fear them. Currently, the mercenaries had already grown to over 300,000 people in number. Although they could not be compared to the army of any small kingdom, they were undoubtedly the strongest. Every single member of the mercenaries possessed quite some strength, and any one of them completely exceeded any soldier of those kingdoms. The number of Earth Saint Masters they now possessed reached the hundreds, with 40-odd Heaven Saint rulers. They were the supreme rulers of the region. Yu and Bai Lian currently conversed in boredom in the palace that had already been repaired. The flame mercenaries had embarked on the right path with constant hard work over these years. In the recent period, the two of them had already delegated many matters to people below, only dealing with a few large, troublesome things when they appeared. As a result, their lives were now extremely relaxing, no longer as tiresome as before. "I wonder where brother is right now and when I'll be able to see him," said Bai Lian with a sigh as she sat at the table. A sliver of reminiscence appeared on her face. Yu also revealed a vague sliver of distress and loneliness when she heard that. She also sighed. "I hope he can return safely. I will always wait here for him and help him manage the foundation of the mercenaries he had laid down. The flame mercenaries is his. He was once here. Sister Yu, when brother sees how grand the mercenaries has become now, he'll definitely be ecstatic. For the captain of the mercenaries, you've done too much, too much," Bai Lian said sweetly. Yu revealed a sweet smile and said nothing. However, as she stared at the hazy sky outside, there was a sliver of sorrow hidden in the very depths of her eyes. "I was rejected by you not just once with similar reasons. Now, I finally can understand your pains. Before, you seemed to be so glorious, yet you endured such great pressures secretly. I wonder whether you'll marry me after you return and deal with everything. I know that this marriage was set down by father all those years ago. Maybe I've never even formed an impression in your heart. I might just seem more like an ordinary friend to you, but you know, Jian, your figure has already appeared in my heart. I can't cast it away no matter what." Several kilometers away from Flame City, over 10 middle-aged men on Class 5 magical beasts stood in a straight line. They gazed at the city from afar on a mountain. "The flame mercenaries sure are extravagant to build a city completely out of tungsten alloy. Just the city itself is an invaluable treasure of the continent," said a blue-robed, burly, middle-aged man with a sigh. "If another organization obtained this much tungsten alloy, they'd probably struggle to hide it. Only the flame mercenaries dare to act so fearlessly, boldly using it to build a city." A middle-aged man with flame-red hair also sighed. His eyes were filled with envy. The middle-aged man, who seemed to be in his 20s, smiled weirdly and said, "Everyone, the reason why I have called you all here over such long distances is not going to be as simple as just viewing Flame City." The middle-aged men beside him all looked at each other when they heard that. Afterward, one of them clasped his hands at the young man and asked politely, "Perhaps Prince Bai Jian has other intentions for calling us over?" "Indeed, I do have other intentions. I wonder if everyone has ever thought about taking the city made completely out of tungsten alloy?" A cold smile formed on Bai Jian's face. The expressions of the men all changed abruptly when they heard that. Someone said immediately, "Prince Bai Jian, don't you know about the flame mercenaries' backing? Our mercenary group may not be weak, but even if we're 100 times bolder, we would never have ill intentions toward the flame mercenaries." "Yeah, Prince Bai Jian. Even if we ignore the fact that the mercenaries are supported by the Changyang clan of the 10 protector clans, I've also heard that they have quite the relationship with the esteemed Grand Elder of Mercenary City. Even if we have tremendous courage, we would never try to do anything against them. That's just looking for death," added someone immediately. His eyes were filled with fear. A sneer formed on Bai Jian's face. "What are you worrying for? Since I've called you all over to discuss this, I'll obviously deal with these possible fears for you. Yep, the Changyang clan of the 10 protector clans is indeed powerful, but the reason for the protector clan's existence is to protect the Tianyuan continent. They have an agreement to never interfere with anything regarding the continent unless it's directly connected to the continent's safety. I can guarantee you that if people from the Changyang clan interfere with you when you fight for the city, the 9 other protector clans won't just sit around and watch." Now with the matter of the winged tiger god, there should be quite the disagreement between the Changyang clan and the other protector clans. As for Mercenary City, there's no need for you to worry at all. The reason for Mercenary City's existence is almost the same as the protector clans. Although the Grand Elder of Mercenary City possesses the greatest power and status, everything he does is equivalent to what Mercenary City does. If he dares to interfere with what goes down with Flame City, just the disagreement of the other elders is enough to restrict his actions, even if we ignore whether the protector clans will agree or not. By Jian, are you really sure that the other protector clans will stop them from interfering? Asked a middle-aged man worriedly. Bai Jian laughed confidently. Don't worry. My father has a deep bond with a great elder of the Yixuan sect of the 10 protector clans. Through this relationship, I've already secretly formed an agreement with the other protector clans. The Changyang clan is too strong now. Not only do they have 3 geniuses, they've even formed a connection with the Pure Heart Pavilion and the Arctic Ice God Hall. It has technically already broken the balance between the 10 protector clans. The other clans will definitely not just watch this through. Chapter 909, Qin Qin takes a master. The men around by Jian all began to breathe heavily when they heard this. Their glances toward the Flame City that was still under construction no longer possessed any fear, now replaced by an intense greed. Prince Bai Jian, if the Protector Clan and Mercenary City really won't be interfering, what else do we have to fear? One of the middle-aged men immediately said excitedly. Even with the entire Tianyuan continent in perspective, a city completely made out of tungsten alloy like Flame City was enough to make everyone green with envy. Let alone hermit clans with saint rulers, even ancient clans that possessed saint kings would drool at it. The reason why they never dared to move against the mercenaries was all because they feared the protector Changyang clan and Mercenary City. If it were not for these 2 powerful organizations supporting them, the mercenaries definitely would not have the power to keep such a large tungsten alloy mine in possession. Alright, as long as the Flame Mercenaries doesn't receive any other powerful support, we, the Apocalypse Mercenaries, will also take part. Afterward, many of them expressed their opinions. They were each a captain of huge mercenary groups, all with at least 1,000 or even thousands of years of history. Although they were only Heaven Saint Masters, there were many former captains that had stepped down. There were some saint rulers among them. Most of the captains were greatly attracted by Flame City, so they all signed up for the operation to take it. Only a few of them were left hesitating and did not plan to participate. Bai Jian looked at them with some cold intent, before looking toward Flame City once again. He said, the city should be complete in another year's time. When it's complete, it'll be time for us to take over it. I'll invite my father and a great elder of the Yixuan sect to personally form a space gate when the time comes and deliver your groups in from several hundred kilometers away. That would be fantastic. With the help from the 2 esteemed seniors, it'll be too easy for our people to get here. The mercenary captains all revealed happy expressions. Beyond the continent, the heavenly enchantress currently sat on the edge of a cliff at the very top of 3 Saint Island. She had placed the simple zither of the demonic cry on a flat, smooth surface, gently playing the strings with her white and elegant fingers. It produced a pleasant sound. She was not wearing her veil, revealing her beauty that even the sky seemed to envy. Her hair fluttered gently in the slight breeze beside her ears, covering up a small portion of her face. It only amplified her beauty. The zither notes seemed to contain an enchanting, sagely tune, reverberating in the surroundings. It was filled with a sorrowful, miserable feeling that was able to influence the emotions of people and make them sad. The notes echoed gently through the area. All the small creatures who heard the sound quieted down, each and everyone stopping their foraging for food. They would lie down on the ground, listening quietly to the music that seemed to be the most beautiful tune in the world. The sadness within it even made some of the creatures tear up and cry. What's with Master? Why is she sad for no reason? Xiao Yu glanced toward the heavenly enchantress location with suspicion. She was filled with doubt. I can feel that Master seems to be very sad and very miserable. It's so weird. Why does Master feel like this? Xiao Qian also said doubtfully as she blinked her bright eyes. They were baffled by why the heavenly enchantress would feel like this with no evident reason. The sad music gradually stopped. The heavenly enchantress had stopped playing the zither. She placed her hands gently on the zither strings, gazing lifelessly at where the sea and sky met. Her face was a mix of emotions. Sigh. The heavenly enchantress produced a long sigh and mumbled, "Do I hate you, or do I not?" She was currently strewn between different emotions. Suddenly, her eyes narrowed. She suddenly looked into the distance and with a gentle motion of her hands, she immediately ripped open space. It quickly formed a space gate. Through the gate, a huge and boundless continent could be seen. It was the Tianyuan continent. The heavenly enchantress disappeared through the space gate, having already traveled to the distant Tianyuan continent. Within the Tianqin clan of Walorant City in the Zhuya Kingdom, a young lady current sat all by herself in a pavilion. She played the zither, producing beautiful music which drifted through the garden gently. Although Qin Qin's zither had yet to reach the level where it could control the emotions of people, it possessed the power to influence and affect people's feelings. It could make them become unwillingly intoxicated by her zither notes. Qin Qin's zither seemed exactly like the zither of the demonic cry used by the heavenly enchantress. They were of the same color, size, and had the same number of strings. It seemed like the real thing. "Master Jian Chen, just where are you? Are you still well?" Qin Qin could not help but imagine Jian Chen's handsome, determined face. She was filled with a deep reminiscence, and perhaps because of her emotions, the music she played possessed a sliver of longing and concern. "Qiner, you're playing here again." A heavy voice sounded from behind her. The patriarch of the clan had arrived before her, staring at her with a smile. Qin Qin said nothing. She did not stop the gentle stroking of her fingers as if she had not even heard the voice behind her. "Qiner, your marriage with the first young master of the Zhuyan clan is in 3 days. Why don't you go and make some preparations?" said the patriarch with a smile. The music suddenly stopped. Qin Qin said with a gentle but resolved voice, "Father, I don't want to marry." "Qiner, you're not young anymore. It's about time you marry. It's a pity that you can't cultivate, so your life is only as long as normal people. Otherwise, your father would not force you like this," said the patriarch. He too was filled with helplessness. "But I don't like the first young master of the Zhuyan clan. Does father want to force me into marrying someone I don't love?" Qin Qin's voice was filled with pain. Sigh. The patriarch produced a long exhale. He did not know what to say in this moment. At this very moment, a vast pressure suddenly appeared. It enveloped the entire clan. Before this pressure, all the guards of the clan felt like a boulder had come crashing down on them. It was even difficult for them to remain standing, and they were now all incapacitated. Even the Earth Saint Masters were the same, immobilized by the pressure. In the entire clan, the only person who was unaffected was Qin Qin. At this moment, a veiled, purple-dressed woman descended from the sky. She seemed like a fairy that came from heaven. She was filled with a dignified, divine, and consecrated aura. The woman carried a zither. She stopped 3 meters above in the air, staring at Qin Qin with the only thing revealed, her emotionless eyes. She said, "Are you willing to take me as your master?" The patriarch of the Tianqin clan had been bound by frozen space unknowingly. He stared at the mysterious woman in shock as his emotions churned. He struggled to speak. Qin Qin stared at the woman in shock, before locking onto the zither in the woman's arms. It was exactly the same as the zither she used. Are you the heavenly enchantress?" Qin Qin immediately cried out as she identified the woman through the zither of the demonic cry. The heavenly enchantress nodded slightly and said calmly, "You have drawn me here with your zither music. We're fated to meet. Are you willing to take me as your master?" I'm willing. Disciple Qin Qin pays respects to master." Qin Qin agreed hurriedly. She liked playing the zither, while the heavenly enchantress was equivalent to the god of zither. She had once dreamed about becoming a disciple of hers, so now that the opportunity had presented itself, how could she let it go? You will need to come with me if you accept. You will go far beyond the continent for cultivation. Are you certain? Asked the heavenly enchantress. Qin Qin hesitated slightly. A strong unwillingness to part appeared on her face, but her eyes became determined soon after. Disciple is willing to leave the clan and follow Master to beyond the continent. However, Disciple would like Master to give Disciple the chance to bid farewell to her family. The pressure from the heavenly enchantress body had already disappeared, freeing the people of the clan from their bindings. The patriarch in the pavilion bowed toward the heavenly enchantress politely, before turning to Qin Qin. He said, "Qiner, are you really going to be leaving the clan?" Qin Qin nodded resolutely. "Father, you know that I can't cultivate and that I only like to play the zither. Only by following Master can my fate be changed." The patriarch pondered in silence before exhaling deeply. "All right then. Qiner, go without worry. Whenever you have time, you need to come back and visit your father frequently. As for the marriage with the young master of the Zhuyan clan, father will talk to them about it and cancel it." At this very moment, a large group of people rushed over from the surroundings. The person in front was the young master of the clan, Qin Shao. Qin Qin immediately informed them of the matter that she had taken on the heavenly enchantress as her master, before bidding farewell to them. She knew that once she left, she would not be returning anytime soon. Afterward, it would be a journey of tens of millions of kilometers. Even when saint rulers hurried without any sleep or rest, it would take them over a month of travel. "Sister, brother respects your choice. In the future, brother will definitely become a heaven saint master and come looking for you in the sea." Qin Zhao's eyes were filled with tears. He was extremely unwilling to part with Qin Qin. Qin Qin's eyes also glimmered with tears. She said, "Brother, when you see young Master Jian again, please give him this drawing." Qin Qin pulled out a piece of paper from within her wide sleeves, before slowly opening it. To no surprise, the drawing was of Jian. It was him wielding the light wind sword, in a sword dance all by himself. His posture with the sword was sharp, as if every strike was lethal. It was extremely realistic. Chapter 9-10, Violent Movements of the Emperor. Armament. In the very beginning, the heavenly enchantress paid no mind to it. She only believed it to be someone else with the same name, but when she saw the drawing, her eyes narrowed. She grabbed at the empty air with her right hand and the drawing immediately flew into her grasp from Qin Qin's hand. The group from the Tianqin clan all became surprised when they saw the heavenly enchantress take the drawing of Jian. They all looked toward her with suspicion. The heavenly enchantress stared at the person in the drawing blankly as mixed emotions appeared on her face. She subconsciously spat out a sentence, "Why do you have his drawing?" "Master, do you know Master Jian?" Qin Qin's eyes lit up, staring at the heavenly enchantress unblinkingly. The heavenly enchantress returned the drawing to Qin Qin and said nothing. Her veiled face hid all her emotions. Some of the people present immediately began to worry when they saw the heavenly enchantress behave like that. They were afraid that Jian had offended her in some way, which would affect her master-disciple relationship with Qin Qin. Although some of them had thought this, none of them dared to mention it due to the heavenly enchantress' status and fame. Qin Qin gave the drawing to Qin Shao before leaving with the heavenly enchantress after a hurried farewell. They left for 3 Saint Island. The sky before the ancient mountain range was wonderful. It was sunny and cloudless, deep blue in color. Groups of flying magical beasts could be clearly seen as they soared freely through the sky. They would emit loud and clear cries from time to time. It resounded through the surroundings, echoing into the distance. The loud roars of beasts could be heard occasionally within the forests, while magical beasts could be vaguely seen as they rushed after their prey at great speeds. There sometimes would even be the vague sounds of intense battles, coupled with powerful ripples of energy. This was a battle between high-class magical beasts and there was no lack of Class 5 ones. At this very moment, the deep blue sky began to distort violently. With a powerful energy, it ripped open and formed a colorful space gate. 3 figures stepped out of the space gate. The leading person was a white-robed, middle-aged man. He seemed rather ordinary, but he also gave off a feeling as if he was part of the surroundings. He had fused perfectly with the space around him. It was extremely easy for others to miss his presence. After him was a white-dressed, middle-aged woman. She was elegant and graceful. She also carried the feeling as if she was part of the surroundings. However, her presence was much more distinct than the man. The final person was an old man who was covered in wrinkles. He seemed to be past his 70s, and he easily be misidentified as the senior of the 2 people in front. Conger, do you still remember this place? Our clan is hidden in this space. You can finally return home, Changyang Zhu Yeyun said emotionally as tears pooled in her eyes. Changyang Zhu Yunkong looked around at the familiar surroundings with mixed emotions. He said, I can finally return home. I can finally return home. Never did I think that there would be a time where I can return home. Changyang Zhu Yunxiao could not help but reveal a smile as he looked at their emotions. He quickly pulled out a medallion and a beam of light shot out from it. The light directly collided with the space several hundred meters away. The space there trembled violently, before it gradually cracked open to reveal a 30-meter tall gate. Through the gate, simple structures could be seen. That was the location that the Changyang clan of the 10 protector clans resided. Yeyun, Conger, let's go in. Changyang Zhu Yunxiao immediately led the 2 of them into the clan. A giant, 10-meter-long sword currently stood in the dirt of the forbidden grounds behind the clan. It shone with a bright, divine light and radiated with a powerful sword chi. It seemed like a condescending supreme ruler. The sword was surrounded by an extremely powerful barrier. The barrier completely enveloped the sword, fully locking its vast presence within. However, no one noticed that in the very moment Changyang Zhu Yunxiao opened the clan's gate, the sword had actually trembled by an undetectable amount, despite not having moved even a millimeter for hundreds of years. Changyang Zhu Yunxiao's family entered the clan that resided in this separate space. As soon as they stepped in, an azure-robed old man flew over with lightning speed. He arrived before the 3 of them in the blink of an eye. Yunxiao, you're finally willing to come back. I had thought you were going to spend your entire life outside, said the old man. There was nothing special to his voice, but he constantly stared at Changyang Zhu Yunkong with deep old eyes. He was filled with both surprise and doubt. Grandson has successfully brought Conger back from outside. Conger, why don't you quickly pay your respects to your great-grandfather? Changyang Zhu Yunxiao's voice was filled with emotion. The old man was Changyang Zhu Xiao. He was the most senior member of the Zhu branch in the Changyang clan. Although he was a great elder like Changyang Zhu Yunxiao, the difference in their age was around a millennia. Changyang Zhu Yunxiao was a descendant of his. What did you say? He's Conger? Changyang Zhu Xiao was filled with shock as he stared blankly at the old Changyang Zhu Yunkong. Changyang Zhu Yunkong took a step forward. Just as he was about to pay his respects to Changyang Zhu Xiao, a supreme sword chi suddenly erupted from the very depths of the clan. The entire space was greatly affected, beginning to tremble violently. Pitch-black spatial cracks began to crisscross in the sky, as if the entire region faced the threat of collapsing. Changyang Zhu Xiao suddenly raised his head and stared toward the depths of the clan. Currently, his deep eyes shone with a bright light as he growled, "Crap, the Emperor Armament has begun to react violently. Yunxiao, come with me to suppress the armament or the entire space is going to collapse." Changyang Zhu Xiao transformed into a streak of light, shooting toward the forbidden grounds at the rear of the clan. At the same time, the other great elders all made their way to the forbidden grounds as well. All of them were extremely grim. Changyang Zhu Yunxiao did nothing. He stood there stock-still as he stared blankly in that direction. He murmured, why is this happening? The Emperor Armament has existed for several hundreds of thousands of years, but this has never happened before. Why has it awakened violently twice in less than 2,000 years? And in those 2 times, Changyang Zhu Yunxiao stopped talking and looked toward Changyang Zhu Yunkong. His emotions were mixed. Changyang Zhu Yeyun's expression also became miserable as tears glimmered in her eyes. She said painfully, "Why would the Emperor Armament suddenly react violently as soon as Kong'er has returned? Is it perhaps really as the clansman described it all those years ago? That Kong'er is really a calamity to the clan, that his existence will only bring disasters to the clan?" The trembling of the space became even more violent. All the members of the clan were greatly alarmed as they stopped their cultivation to look at what was happening in the Forbidden Grounds. Crap, the Emperor Armament has almost broken free. Everyone at Saint Ruler has rushed over to help. "Yin Xiao, why don't you come?" Changyang Zhu Xiao voice boomed from within the Forbidden Ground. It was filled with a sense of urgency. Changyang Zhu Yunkong stared fixedly in the direction of the Forbidden Grounds. The light in his eyes flickered as he revealed a doubtful expression. Changyang Zhu Yunxiao's face was filled with pain. He slowly grabbed Changyang Zhu Yunkong's shoulder and said remorsefully, "Kong'er, let's back out." He left the Changyang clan space with Changyang Zhu Yunkong. The moment they left the space, the Emperor Armament that had moved violently in the Forbidden Grounds gradually calmed down, before quieted down completely. It was as if nothing had even occurred in the first place. All the members of the Changyang clan could not help but relax slightly now that the Emperor Armament had calmed down once again. Only Changyang Zhu Yeyun and Changyang Zhu Yunxiao were filled with absolute grief, unable to cheer up no matter what. The great elders all walked out from the Forbidden Grounds, covered in sweat. Every single one of them was still in a state of shock. They were unable to suppress the armament even when they worked together earlier, and once the Emperor Armament broke free, the space would have been destroyed. They all struggled to imagine just how catastrophic it would have been for the clan. Weird. The Emperor Armament has never behaved like this before, so why has it behaved violently twice recently? The first time was because a clansman trespassed the Forbidden Grounds, so why has it happened this time? A great elder asked doubtfully. Changyang Zhu Xiao seemed to think of something when he heard that. His expression changed immediately as he cried out involuntarily, perhaps it's because what? Changyang Zhu Xiao, do you know the reason why the Emperor Armament suddenly behaved so violently? A great elder immediately asked. The rest of them all looked toward Changyang Zhu Xiao. The light in Changyang Zhu Xiao's eyes flickered uneasily. He said nothing, directly heading toward the entrance of the clan. The other great elders all looked at each other, before following behind him closely. They left the clan together, and when they arrived outside, they saw Changyang Zhu Yunxiao, Changyang Zhu Yeyun and Changyang Zhu Yunkong at first glance. They recognized Changyang Zhu Yunkong's identity very quickly. "Yunkong, so it's you. I finally understand why the Emperor Armament suddenly began to behave so violently when everything was well. It's all because of you," a great elder growled. His complexion was not good. In all these years, the Emperor Armament has only behaved so violently twice. The first time was because you trespassed the Forbidden Grounds and disturbed it, while the second time was because you entered the clan today. Changyang Zhu Yunxiao and Changyang Zhu Yeyun's expressions became extremely ugly. They were filled with pain. Perhaps the clansmen are right, that Changyang Zhu Yunkong is a calamity of the Changyang clan? That he'll only bring disaster to the clan? As soon as he steps into the clan, he faces the rejection of the Emperor Armament, and as soon as it breaks free, it'll be an apocalyptic disaster for the clan, said another great elder. His gaze toward Changyang Zhu Yunkong immediately became rather hostile. Sigh. Changyang Zhu Xiao exhaled deeply. His face was filled with helplessness as he said, "Kong'er, you can never step back into the clan again." Chapter 9:11. The Beast God Continent gathers near the Sea Realm. Changyang Zhu Xiao's words were like an imperial edict. It removed all possibilities of Changyang Zhu Yunkong ever stepping back into the clan, which made Changyang Zhu Yeyun and Changyang Zhu Yunxiao pale in that instance. This was because they knew that from now onward, their son could never enter the clan ever again. Changyang Zhu Yunkong did not seem to hear what Changyang Zhu Zhao's words. He stared blankly at the forbidden grounds in the depths of the clan while his face was filled with confusion. Great elders, please remove the seal in Konger's head, as you have promised, said Changyang Zhu Yeyun as she endured the pain in her heart. He has actually broken through to Saint Ruler. How's that possible? A great elder said in surprise when he finally discovered that Changyang Zhu Yunkong had broken through to Saint Ruler. Afterward, Changyang Zhu Yunkong narrated how he had managed to break through. The great elder's doubts disappeared when they learned that he had actually used a stock of 100,000-year dragon saliva to temporarily suppress the seal's power. Konger may not be able to enter the clan, but he's still a member of our clan. Let's work together and remove the seal in his head, Changyang Zhu Yunshao said depressingly. Since he has already become a saint ruler, there's no need for us to worry that he'll pass away from age for now. In my opinion, we should leave the seal in his head for now and remove it when he brings back his descendant Changyang Shangtian. That way, he'll be redeeming himself and he'll be able to give an explanation to the tens of thousand clan members. After all, he has caused quite the trouble by agitating the Emperor Armament with his return, Changyang Qin muttered. The expressions of Changyang Zhu Yunshao and Changyang Zhu Yain abruptly changed when they heard that. Even Changyang Zhu Zhao's expression became rather ugly. Elder Yun, I don't think that would be great. Last time in Lore City, we had dismissed Konger's punishment before the other protector clans. Now that the punishment is gone, why can't we remove the seal in Konger's head? Do you know that the seal's existence will prevent him from strengthening? Do you know how big of an obstruction it is to his cultivation? Changyang Zhu Yunshao growled. Elder Yun, I also feel like we should remove Konger's seal, Changyang Zhu Shao said as well. The seal had originally been placed down by the 7 on them, so they needed all 7 of them to remove it as well. Everyone, I wonder what your opinions on this matter are. Changyang Qin Yun looked toward the others. I agree with Elder Yun, I also agree with Elder Yun. After a period of silence, all the other great elders voiced their opinions. They actually all agreed with Changyang Qin Yun's suggestion. Changyang Zhu Yunxiao's face immediately sunk. He became absolutely furious. Since everyone else agrees with me, we'll leave it at that. The day we remove the seal in his head will come when he brings back Changyang Shangtian, said Changyang Qin Yun with a smile. Afterward, he left with the other elders. Changyang Zhu Yunshao and Changyang Zhu Shao floated in the air with sunken expressions. They were enraged, while Changyang Zhu Yeyun sobbed by herself. She had originally thought that the great elders would remove the seal in his head immediately as soon as she brought Changyang Zhu Yunkong back, but never did she think it would end up like this. They've gone overboard. Changyang Zhu Yunshao clenched his fists tightly. He was utterly enraged, to the point where he had even begun to tremble slightly. Changyang Zhu Shao sighed deeply. He was filled with helplessness as he exhaled. It's all because of the winged tiger god. In the end, Changyang Zhu Yunkong's seal was not removed, nor could he return to the clan. Under these circumstances, all he could do was return to Lore City and stay there as the esteemed and respected ancestor of the Changyang clan. Changyang Zhu Yunshao and Changyang Zhu Yeyun did not return to the clan either after their disappointment. They chose to stay in Lore City with their son. In the blink of an eye, half a year passed. Jian currently sat on a small mountain completely formed from grand quality crystal coins in a secret room below the Turtle Clan. The sword spirits hovered above his head, assisting Jian with the refinement of the coins into the purest energy possible. The grand quality crystal coins were all condensed from extremely pure water attributed energy of the world. They possessed similar effects to monster cores and were able to increase Jian rate of cultivation. These crystal coins were all obtained by Jian in exchange for an opportunity to enter the Octoterra Divine Hall. Each Octoterra map fragment could let in 20 people, and Jian had already let the Sea Goddess Hall take 10 of them. The other 10 completely belonged to him. Newbies, Xia Wang and him would only take up 3 spots, so he put the other 7 spots on sale. He exchanged the spots for some of the things he needed. For these opportunities, the only two ninth heavenly layer Saint Ruler elders in the Turtle clan came looking for Jian Qin. They wished to obtain a chance to enter the Divine Hall, but no matter what they said, they got nothing from Jian Qin. This was because the two of them were under the second and third elder, a part of the group that had initially opposed Jian Qin's succession as ruler. Jian Qin obviously would not waste any valuable spots on these people. He was more willing to exchange them for things that he needed himself. Jian Qin did not even consider bribing them because he felt like he had no need to do that at all. He did not come to the Turtle clan to actually become some ruler but to complete the Grand Elder's final wishes. The 7 spots were all sold off in a mere 3 months. Jian Qin used 3 of the spots to exchange for vast quantities of grand quality crystal coins, while he used the other 4 to exchange for 4 materials used to forge the azulate swords. After so many years of exhaustive search, Jian Qin had already collected more than 10 of the materials. He only lacked 4 of them, but he already had an idea for one of the 4. It was the Heaven's Soul Stone from the Yama Hall of the 3 great assassination organizations. I'll definitely be paying a visit to Yama Hall after I become powerful enough, thought Jian Qin. At the same time, a vast and powerful presence suddenly emerged from the 98th floor of the Beast God Hall. It was like the gradual awakening of a primordial beast, radiating with a terrifying pressure. It caused the weather to change and the entire continent was affected. All the magical beasts trembled helplessly on the ground, while great fear and dread appeared in their eyes. In an instant, all 97 other people cultivating in the hall opened their eyes. They all looked toward the 98th floor, some happy while others down. Kaiser's actually broken through. Now, our disparity in strength is becoming greater and greater, murmured a ruddy old man as he raised his head on the 97th floor to look at the 98th floor. He frowned slightly. He was one of the 3 emperors of the Beast God continent, Saint Emperor of the Peng clan, Changyang. On the 96th floor, Tiger King Lankyros suddenly rose from the ground. A smile formed on his face. 5 years have elapsed. Kaiser is finally coming out of seclusion. A burly, 3-meter-tall man emerged slowly from the 98th floor of the hall. His appearance did not stand out at all, but his eyes were extremely sharp, like drawn swords. Just his gaze gave people the feeling that it could pierce through steel. It was that shocking. It would have been frightening if someone stared into his eyes. A bold aura wrapped around the man. It filled the entire hall, enveloping all 98 floors with his great presence. Just his presence possessed the might to cause the world to tremble. This man was the ruler of the Beast God continent. He was undoubtedly the most powerful person on the continent. Kaiser, you've finally come out, Lankiro's voice resounded from outside. Kaiser strode out of the hall. With his every step, the hall would tremble slightly. If it were not for the fact that the hall had been built solidly, it probably would have been reduced to dust long ago. Lankiros, come with me to the Tianyuan continent for the winged tiger god. I'd like to see who'll be stopping us this time. Kaiser's voice was filled with arrogance, as if he looked down on everyone in the world. Kaiser, there has been some changes to the situation. Jian Qin's taken the winged tiger god into the sea realm, so it's no longer on the Tianyuan continent anymore, growled Lankiros. The sea realm. Kaiser frowned slightly when he heard that. After some slight thought, he said, then let's head to the sea realm. Kaiser then looked toward the 97th floor and said with a heavy but clear voice, Changyang, come with us to the sea realm for the winged tiger god. The winged tiger god is the god of the magical beast race. We have no right to interfere with anything the beast god does, unless it faces a life-threatening danger. Otherwise, I will not be interfering with anything relating to the beast god, Changyang's ancient voice boomed from the 97th floor. Kaiser's eyes became slightly cold, but he said nothing. He departed the continent with Lankiros, 2/3 of all the experts in the hall, and all the experts in their factions. They proceeded toward the sea realm. Even though the beast god continent was extremely far away from the sea realm, it was nothing to Kaiser and Lankiros, who were both Saint Emperors. They directly ripped open space and formed a space gate, traversing tens of millions of kilometers with a single step. They arrived in the sky above the sea realm. Thousands of experts who were at least Saint Ruler gathered in the sky. They radiated with a terrifying might that caused the water below to sink by 10 meters. Kaiser floated above condescendingly and stared down at the seawater coldly. He growled, "There's a barrier cast down by the sea goddess in the ancient times. I wonder how powerful it still is after so many years. Let's find out today." With that, Kaiser's eyes immediately began to glow, narrowing instantly. He grabbed at the empty space and the entire region darkened with his hand. The weather conditions changed with a flip of that hand. Vast quantities of world force poured toward his hand, before condensing into a giant, 10-meter-long spear. It shot toward the barrier that encased the entire sea realm with a terrifying force. Chapter 9:12. The sea goddess appears as the #1 expert of the beast god continent struck out. He immediately attracted the attention of all the people from the beast god continent. This included Tiger King Lankyros. They all stared fixedly at Kaiser's attack. The spear condensed from Kaiser's great strength directly tore through space. It shot down into the ocean with an unstoppable force, cracking open the space wherever it passed by. The spear remained in midair. It had not even touched the water, yet its terrifying pressure had pushed all the water to expand in the surroundings, lowering the surface of the water below it. As the spear touched the water directly disappeared. It revealed a dark hole that directly led to the bottom of the ocean. At that very moment, a blue pillar of light shot out from the barrier that encased the sea realm. It directly collided with Kaiser's spear. Boom! With a great rumble from the sea, the surface of the water began to churn. It abruptly shot up and was actually knocked thousands of meters into the air by the violent energy ripples, unfolding on a magnificent scale. A blue barrier rose from the depths of the sea. The barrier that protected the entire sea realm expanded to countless times its previous size in that instant and rose above the water. The sea water was actually pushed into the surroundings by the suddenly rising barrier and caused the surface to begin tossing and turning. It formed a huge wave several hundred meters in height, rippling off in all directions. "People of the beast god continent, leave. The world of my sea race is not one that you can trespass." A sound voice resounded from ahead. A blurry figure could be vaguely seen in the huge barrier. The figure was elegant and graceful. It was the figure of a woman. "Who are you?" Kaiser stared fixedly at the figure that was virtually a part of the barrier. His voice was deep while his expression was grim. Lankyro's face sank abruptly. He could actually feel a grand pressure from the figure even though he was a Saint Emperor. The pressure was so great that it shocked him. Even before Kaiser, he had never experienced something so great. "I think you already have the answer as to who I am. I don't want to make it difficult for you. You can leave. No one can invade the world of my sea race," a soft voice rang out again. The woman in the barrier had actually taken a step and had left the barrier. She formed an illusionary figure in the middle of the air that was extremely blurry. "You're the sea goddess. You're not dead yet?" Kaiser's face sank. He suffered quite the psychological blow when he found out that the sea goddess was not dead yet. This had shocked him greatly. "Correct. I'm indeed still alive," the sea goddess said softly. Kaiser stared fixedly at the illusionary figure and seemed to think of something. His eyes immediately lit up as he sneered, "Sea goddess, since you're not dead, why haven't you come out personally and only sent this soul? Perhaps, only your soul remains now? My soul is enough to stop you from entering," said the sea goddess. Her voice was calm and emotionless. "Impossible. Even if you had surpassed Saint Emperor, it's impossible for you to live so long. Sea goddess, if I've guessed correctly, then you've actually died long ago. Just for some reason, your soul did not disperse and survived till today. Am I right? Too bad, you can't threaten us at all in the form you are in right now." A sneer formed on Kaiser's face. The fear in his heart gradually disappeared. "The barrier of the sea realm took me 100 years to cast down. I can use the power of the barrier at will, even if I'm just a soul, you're not my opponent, said the sea goddess. Is that so? Kaiser's lips formed a cold smile. I'd like to see whether your barrier from all those years ago can withstand an attack from Lankyros and me. A powerful presence radiated from his body, which caused the surrounding energy to become violent. Vast quantities of world force quickly began to gather toward Kaiser. At the same time, a towering presence began to radiate from Lankyros as well. His two arms immediately began to bulge, ripping through his clothes. They transformed into two golden tiger paws, while invisible world force gathered around them. Do it! Kaiser shouted. Together with Lankyros, they struck out powerfully and directly surged toward the sea goddess. The space up ahead immediately became a wall of darkness. The attacks from the two Saint Emperors had shattered and collapsed it. The attacks directly passed through the sea goddess body and struck the barrier behind her forcefully. With a violent rumble, the barrier only rippled. It did not even tremble, easily resisting the attacks from the two Saint Emperors. Violent ripples of residual energy wreaked havoc in the surroundings. It immediately knocked back the 1,000 or so Class 7 and Class 8 magical beasts from the Beast God continent. It's useless. Unless you surpass the realm of saints and reach the origin realm, you won't be able to break through the barrier I've cast down. Even if all three Saint Emperors of the Beast God continent come, it's useless. The sea goddess voice rang in Kaiser and Lankyros' ears. The two of their faces darkened greatly. After a period of silent thought, Lankyros spoke out, Sea goddess, we have no intentions of invading the sea realm. Our great beast god has appeared in the sea realm. We only want to take him back from the sea realm. The rules of my sea realm do not change. Only magical beasts below Class 8 can enter. It doesn't matter who it is, those who are Class 8 and above are forbidden, said the sea goddess. Alright, then we'll send in some peak Class 7 magical beasts into the sea realm. I hope the sea goddess makes it convenient for us and assists us in finding the beast god. My beast god continent will be extremely grateful, Lankyros said emotionlessly. The beast god of your continent has nothing to do with me. After your people enter the sea realm, they will be in charge of their fates. I will not be helping you, said the sea goddess. With that, Kaiser and Lankyros both revealed ugly expressions. Also, the person you're searching for isn't as simple as you think. Unless Class 8 magical beasts head out personally, you won't be able to handle him at all. You should decide yourselves if you want to send experts into my sea realm. The sea goddess turned around and re-entered the barrier after she threw that down. She fused with the barrier once again. Kaiser clenched his fist tightly as stared coldly at the sea goddess back. He growled, there will be a day where I break through the realm of saints and reach that legendary origin realm. At that time, I'll definitely be smashing through your barrier. Let's go. Kaiser immediately began to return to the beast god continent with his experts after he threw that threat down. The sea goddess' gentle voice rang out in the surroundings once again after their departure. Her voice was filled with reminiscence and pity. Do you really think that realm of saints is really that easy to break through? In the ancient times, there were plenty of people who had reached the peak of Saint Emperor, but there were only a tiny amount who truly broke through to the origin realm. Not to mention, it's no longer possible to break through now, unless the world returns to how it was like before in the ancient times. In the distant north from the Tianyuan continent, there was a snow-white world. There were mountains of crystal-like ice formed from the cold as far as the eye could see. The ice radiated with a frigid aura. The snow and ice never melted there and had already existed for countless years. The climate there was so cold that no ordinary people could endure it. Even Earth's Saint Masters would not be able to exist for too long in that climate. The cold wind whistled like the howls of ghosts. A visible, white gas was constantly blown around by the wind. The white gas was extreme frigid qi. It was so powerful that it had reached a startling level. Even Heaven's Saint Masters would be frozen up instantly if they came into contact with it, and they would never to be able to break free again. Only saint rulers could withstand it. This was the Arctic, the desolate Arctic. Currently, a huge divine hall stood quietly in the depths of it. The hall was extremely large, over tens of thousands of meters both long and wide. It stood there silently like a sleeping primordial beast. It radiated with a great aura. Currently, a woman laid quietly on a bed carved from 10,000-year profound ice as she was enveloped by an extreme frigid qi. The woman was completely snow white. Not only were her clothes white, even her long hair and eyelashes were snow white. She was Changyang Mingyue, the holy maiden of the Arctic ice goddess Hall. The extreme frigid qi was slowly absorbed by her. The presence that radiated from her strengthened by a significant amount after she had absorbed the extreme frigid qi, and even the frigid qi on her thickened. Changyang Mingyue's long eyelashes trembled gently. She finally opened her eyes slowly and rose up from her bed of ice. She allowed the terrifying coldness that radiated from the bed to brush up against her thin-looking body. Protector Shui, Changyang Mingyue's mouth moved slightly as she spoke gently in the empty room. This one greets the holy maiden. An icy voice appeared out of nowhere. A person completely clad in snow-white armor suddenly appeared in the room. She knelt on a single knee courteously. Her body stature was elegant and graceful. Although her appearance could not be seen through her helmet, it was not hard to tell that she was a woman. Protector Shui, just how long do I need to stay here? I really want to return home and see my family. Changyang Mingyue seemed lonely. Her heart was filled with attachments. Holy maiden, your profound ice body has yet to awaken completely. You can't leave the hall right now, Protector Shui said icily and without any emotion. Her eyes were so cold that she seemed like an emotionless, cold-blooded creature. Just how long will it take before my profound ice body fully awakens? Changyang Mingyue asked. This one does not know. It will all depend on the holy maiden, said Protector Shui. My youngest brother currently faces the pursuit of the 10 protector clans and the beast god continent. His life is in constant danger and things have also happened to father. I don't care, I'm going to Lore City immediately. Changyang Mingyue's voice was filled with worry as she directly made her way for the outside. Protector Shui appeared before Changyang Mingyue out of nowhere and blocked her. She said, Holy maiden, you can't leave the hall right now. Protector Shui, since I'm your holy maiden, you must listen to my orders. I order you to get out of the way immediately. I want to go right now. A sliver of anger appeared on Changyang Mingyue's face. This one cannot do that, Protector Shui said before slowly backing out. Changyang Mingyue immediately made her way for the door, but as soon as she arrived there, it had been sealed up by an invisible energy. It prevented her from leaving. Protector Shui, why do you trap me here? Changyang Mingyue said furiously. Her voice was filled with panic. Protector Shui stood outside the door as she stared at Changyang Mingyue. Holy maiden, before your profound ice body fully awakens, this one cannot let you leave the hall. Protector Shui, I beg you. Please, let me out. I really miss home. I really miss my mother and my younger brother. 2 streaks of tears ran down from Changyang Mingyue's eyes as they radiated with a certain coldness. Her tone was close to pleading. Changyang Mingyue knew that in the hall, the protector that stood before her possessed the greatest status. In the hall, she was equivalent to a god. Protector Shui stared blankly at Changyang Mingyue. She could feel Changyang Mingyue's pain. Holy maiden, you've changed. This one remembers that you were not like this before. You never cried over those mortals' matters. Protector Shui looked at her with mixed emotions. Afterward, she sighed gently and said, Holy maiden, I was ordered to stay here and wait. Only after over 3 million years did you descend. In this crucial moment, I can't let anything happen to you. Before your profound ice body awakens, this one definitely will not let you leave. Even if this one has to offend the holy maiden, this one will not change her mind. Don't worry about your family. They're all safe and your youngest brother is extremely safe. He has already found refuge in the sea realm, with the sea goddess secretly helping him. He won't be encountering any dangers. And your father is going to be revived by your brother's radiant arts soon. Really? Protector Shui, is that true? You can sense the circumstance that my family and my brothers are in? Changyang Mingyue stared at Protector Shui as the light in her eyes flickered. Protector Shui said, Holy Maiden, there's nothing this one does not know about this world. With that, she seemed to think of something and the light in her eyes dulled. She thought, Holy Maiden, I hope you can sever your relationship with your brother early. Because in the future, you may end up in conflict and be at each other's lives. Chapter 9:13, Opening of the Octoterra Divine Hall in the blink of an eye. The time for the opening of the Octoterra Divine Hall had arrived. Jian Shen, Nubis, and Xia Wang all left the Turtle Clan to gather at the Sea Goddess Hall. Jian Shen still possessed the status of a guest in the Sea Goddess Hall, so he had his area for cultivation. Currently, the three of them sat in the hall as they conversed and discussed about entering the Octoterra Divine Hall. Nubis had left the Saint Artifact half a year ago. When they were previously faced with the pursuit of the experts from the Serpent God Hall and Heaven Spirit Hall, he had burned his vital essence as a price to exceed his maximum speed, which led to severe overconsumption. He stayed in the artifact space for an entire half a year, recovering all his lost vitality from absorbing the old snake's hidden essence. He had also raised his cultivation to the peak of Saint Ruler once again, now only an inch away from Saint King. MOG of the Thousand-Handed Clan greets the ruler of the Turtle Clan. A husky voice rang from outside, heard clearly by the three of them. With a thought, he released the barrier around the hall and said, Come in. Jian Shen had a very deep impression in regards to the Thousand-Handed Clan. The Thousand-Handed Clan was one of the greatest clans of the Sea Realm. They were much more powerful than the Taihong clan, with 1 16th star Sea Soul Warrior and 2 15th star Sea Soul Warriors. They were a famed clan within the territory of the Sea Goddess Hall. The Thousand-Handed Clan's original form similar to the centipedes on land. They were extremely long, with 1,000 limbs in total. They were good at poisoning people with their venom and possessed a tenacious life force. Even if their bodies were destroyed, they could rebuild their bodies in a very short amount of time as long as their souls remained. It was extremely miraculous. The Thousand-Handed Clan was one of the clans that had purchased an opportunity to enter the Octoterra Divine Hall from him. A black-robed old man walked in from outside. He was skinny, while his face was covered with a thin layer of hairs. He seemed like a monkey, but his deep eyes would flash with a cold light from time to time. His eyes were filled with cold-bloodedness and viciousness. MOG greets the ruler of the Turtle Clan. The old man clasped his hands at Jian Shen. Although his voice was polite, he did not carry an expression that matched it. Please come in, Warrior MOG. May I ask if there's anything you need for suddenly coming to find me? Jian Shen smiled as he said mildly. MOG sat down beside Jian Shen and smiled. Ruler, we'll be entering the Octoterra Divine Hall soon. The Divine Hall is filled with danger. Not only do we have to prepare against the attacks from other people, we have to pay attention to the various killing formations in the hall. We can die very easily with a slip in focus. MOG has come to find the ruler this time actually because MOG wants to team up with the ruler. That way, our chances of staying alive would increase greatly. I wonder how the ruler feels about this. Jian Shen frowned slightly when he heard that, but after a period of thought, he nodded in agreement. MOG rejoiced when he gained Jian Shen's agreement. He then left after conversing slightly with Jian Shen. Jian Shen, as long as we're a little careful, we're strong enough to rampage in there with our strength. Why did you let him join us? Nubis asked in confusion. This is only temporary and we know nothing about the Octoterra Divine Hall. We'll be able to get a general idea of it from him, said Jian Shen with a smile. His eyes flickered as he thought of something. After MOG had left, another 3 people came to Jian Shen. They were all experts of various clans that were also entering the hall. All of them were of 9th heavenly layer, with shocking talent and great strength. They all wished to join Jian Shen's group and enter the hall together. Jian Shen did not turn them down because he knew this was all temporary. Cracks would appear in their truce when they came across something enticing. Additionally, with so many helpers, they would not need to worry about being ganged up on. After all, no one who entered the hall this time would be weak. Not only would they be of the 9th heavenly layer, there would be plenty of talented people who had already comprehended Saint-tier battle skills. They could heavily injure Saint Kings, so Jian Qin needed to deal with them carefully. The three of them spent 3 days in the hall. After these 3 days, all the people who were entering the Octoterra Divine Hall gathered in a huge, empty space, before they left the palace under the lead of 2 hall elders and various experts. They flew toward the location where the 3 territories bordered one another. Jian Qin glanced at the surroundings and realized that there were over 300 people who were coming along as well. Other than the 60 people who were entering the hall, the others were experts of various clans and a few elders of the Sea Goddess Hall. Of the 2 hall elders that accompanied them, one of them was the elder Hong that Jian Qin was familiar with. The other person was a blue-dressed lady. She wielded a meter-long staff and her face was obscured by a layer of mist. It was hazy and indistinct. Although the lady seemed very similar to Atlantis that had initially saved them from the experts of the other 2 halls, Jian Qin knew that she definitely was not Atlantis but someone else. After several days of flight, the group arrived at the border. Just as they arrived, the experts from the Heaven Spirit Hall and the Serpent God Hall just happened to fly over from afar. They had actually all arrived at the same time. 1 year is up. Let's get straight to it. Those in possession of the map fragments, please take them out at the same time and bring them together, Hall Elder Hong said. Immediately, 8 people took out the map fragments, before they all walked up to the very front of the group. Of the 8 fragments, the Sea Goddess Hall had a total of 4 pieces, while the other 2 halls had 2 each. Jian Qin stood together with 3 other people. He could immediately feel that he was being stared at by several sharp gazes with his keen senses, so he glanced around. He discovered that the 2 hall elders from both the Serpent God Hall and the Heaven Spirit Hall stared at him darkly. They looked so vicious that they virtually seemed like they wanted to devour him. Jian Qin remained as usual, but he sneered inside. Some time ago, both halls had suffered greatly through his hands. They all had St. King's Fall and 3 16th star experts had been taken away by Atlantic of the Sea Goddess Hall. It was embarrassing. So the map fragment that belonged to my Hao family has ended up in your hands. Brat, what's your name and which organization do you belong to? Through what means did you obtain the map fragment? An old voice boomed from the Heaven Spirit Hall's side. An old man stared at Jian Qin with an ugly expression. The old man knew very well which clans were in possession of the 7 other map fragments. Jian Qin was the only one he did not recognize. Jian Qin looked toward the direction where the voice came from and immediately recognized the old man as the Saint King of the Hao family, the person that Qing Yixuan had robbed all those days ago. I am Jian Qin, ruler of the Turtle Clan. I naturally obtained this map fragment from Qing Yixuan. Jian Qin smiled as he clasped his hands at the Saint King. If this person had not injured Qing Yixuan heavily through his Saint-tier battle skill, Jian Qin would not have been able to take the map fragment from her. The old man's complexion could not help but recover slightly when he heard that. He laughed aloud. The rumor said that the map fragment Qing Yixuan had taken from me ended up being stolen by 2 14th star juniors. In the beginning, I didn't believe it, but it looks like it's all true now. Never did I think that Qing Yixuan of the 8 great human experts would be tripped up by 2 juniors. The gazes from many people toward Jian Qin underwent a weird change, now mixed with quite some admiration. Just the courage to steal from the famed Qing Yixuan as a 14th star sea soul warrior was worthy of respect. At this moment, Elder Hong pointed out. 4 strands of energy shot out from his finger, fusing and disappearing into the map fragments. Soon afterward, a ripple of energy surged out from the 4 palm-sized map pieces, which now glowed with a layer of hazy light. Everyone, please undo the seal on the map fragments. Elder Hong looked toward the people of the other 2 halls. Shortly afterward, the hall elders of the Heaven Spirit Hall and the Serpent God Hall moved in unison. 2 ripples of energy shot out from their fingers and into their map fragments, undoing the seal hidden within. The other 4 fragments immediately began to shine with a hazy glow. The light became brighter and brighter, before reaching an extremely dazzling level. They were like suns that illuminated the surroundings. The 8 map fragments slowly flew from their hands, before joining together in the air. A while later, the light gradually receded and a meter-wide square piece of leather could be seen floating in the sky. It then flew toward the territory of the Serpent God Hall with lightning speed. The Octoterra map will lead us to the Octoterra Divine Hall. Follow it. Someone cried out. Immediately, the people from the other 2 halls crossed over their borders in pursuit. The 3 halls had agreed beforehand that they could cross into any hall's borders during the period of searching for the Divine Hall. A group of people pursued the map boldly. It finally stopped in the air above an ancient mountain range after covering hundreds of thousands of kilometers. Currently, the map radiated with a weird aura as it floated in the air. It caused the surrounding space to tremble gently and become blurry. So this is where the Octoterra Emperor hid his Divine Hall, murmured the 2 hall elders of the Serpent God Hall as they raised their heads to look at the sky. In this moment, an extremely powerful ripple of energy ripped open the space. It formed a huge, black hole, and from within it a huge Divine Hall slowly emerged. The Octoterra Hall had finally descended upon the sea realm. The Divine Hall was several thousand meters long and tall. It was completely golden, as if it was made of gold, and it shone with a dazzling golden light. The Divine Hall was bewitching. As the Divine Hall emerged completely, the black hole above also disappeared. Soon afterward, the map separated into 8 pieces again, falling into the hands of the initial 8 people. Brother Jian, the most valuable thing in the Divine Hall other than the Octoterra Emperor's legacy is this Divine Hall. Once you enter it, you need to find a way to get to the control center of the hall and obtain it. Elder Hang's voice boomed in Jian's ear. He communicated with him through a mental message. Jian nodded expressionlessly. Afterward, he flew toward the hall that was high up in the sky with the other people who were entering. Very soon, 160 experts entered the hall with the help of the 8 map fragments. Meanwhile, the people from the 3 halls did not leave and instead began to wait patiently outside. They wanted to wait until all of them had come out, to prevent any treasures from being stolen on their return journey. Chapter 9:14 Attack of a Beast Horde. The 160 experts all gathered together within the Octoterra Divine Hall. They stood around in groups, observing the surroundings vigilantly. They all remained cautious of one another. Jian, Nubis, Xia Wang, and the 4 others gathered together. They stood in an inconspicuous corner and observed the people around them carefully. At the same time, they examined their surroundings through the corner of their eyes. They currently stood in an extremely wide hall. It was circular in shape, while the surrounding tunnels lead off in all directions. There were a total of 16 tunnels, and every single one of them was over 30 meters tall. No one knew where they led off to. "Mog, do you have a map of this place on you?" Jian sent a mental message to the 4 other people. The map fragments were only the key to the Divine Hall and did not possess a map of the hall itself. Additionally, the fragments had already disappeared after they had entered the place. Mog shook his head gently. It said that the Octoterra Emperor remained alone throughout his life with very few friends. When he built this Divine Hall after becoming an emperor, no one apart from the emperor had entered it back then either. There was never a map of this place that has gone into circulation. It'll be a test of our luck in the upcoming part of the journey. I hope we can find the right path, replied a black-robed young man. He was an expert from a large clan and his name was Yixuan. He was one of the 4 people who had joined Jian. Quite a few of the small groups in the surroundings began to move at this moment. They all chose one of the 16 tunnels and went through with their choice. Abruptly, muffled sounds began to resound from the surroundings. It was densely packed, like the constant pitter-patter of rain. It occurred in all 16 tunnels. This sudden occurrence raised everyone's vigilance to the maximum. They all made preparations for battle, and even the people who were about to depart returned. They all gathered in the hall once again. A series of densely packed beast roars reverberated from all 16 tunnels. Large beasts all flowed from the tunnels, each and every one of them charging at the people viciously. There were many of these beasts and none of them were weak. They were all at least as strong as Heaven's Saint Masters, and many of them had already reached the level of Saint Rulers. These are all vicious beasts. God damn it, why there's so many, and why they all so strong? The Octoterra Emperor actually raised a bunch of vicious beasts in his divine hall. It'll be troublesome now. All of them have been affected by the hall. They may not possess intelligence, but they're much more powerful than ordinary vicious beasts. I hope we don't come across overly powerful ones. There are just too many. We need to work together to kill them all off. The peace of the hall was immediately broken and quite a few saint rulers called out grimly. Jian and Nubi's both became stern. Nubi's hands immediately became golden, completing his preparations for battle. He growled, I can already feel the presence of several Class 8 magical beasts. There's actually Class 8 ones in the Horde. Strands of chaotic force poured out from Jian Chen's chaotic Niden, boosting the defense of the chaotic body to the absolute maximum. Afterward, he drew his Qing armament from his space ring. He fully expanded his presence, but it suffered restrictions due to being in the divine hall. He could only expand it to several thousand meters away at maximum, and it could not pass through any parts of the structure. There are a total of 4 Class 8 magical beasts. 2 of them are of the 2nd heavenly layer, the 3rd one is of the 3rd heavenly layer, while the last one is of the 5th heavenly layer, Jian Chen said gruffly. He had already sensed the exact strength of the beasts up ahead through his presence. At the same time, he had discovered that the interior of the hall was humongous. Nothing like the few thousand meters tall and long it had seemed from the outside. The size of the hall as seen from the outside was not its true size. The beasts surged out from the 16 tunnels like a flood, meeting the 160 saint rulers very quickly. An intense battle erupted between both sides and violent ripples of energy filled the entire space. However, it failed to break anything. Nubi's was only an inch away from Saint King. Combined with the fact that he was a beast of antiquity, he was not any weaker than ordinary Saint Kings. He charged into the horde of beasts all by himself, constantly impaling them one by one with his hands. He ripped the huge bodies of the beasts to pieces and filled the air with blood and dyed the ground red. Jian Chen also charged into the beast horde with his Qing armament in hand. The sword transformed into a flurry of blurs as they filled the space before him. He chopped through the beasts one by one. Countless heads of the beasts were flung high up into the air, dyeing the sky with blood. Jian Chen collected monster cores as he killed, getting through several dozen beasts in just a short moment. He had also collected several dozen Class 6 and Class 7 monster cores. The other people all displayed their abilities as well, slaughtering the Class 6 and Class 7 vicious beasts. Countless corpses immediately blanketed the floor of the hall. As the number of beasts reduced, the corpses on the floor increased. Meanwhile, all 160 people came out unscathed and unharmed. Roar! At this moment, several deafening roars rang out. The 4 Class 8 magical beasts all attacked, charging directly at the people as blurs. Over 10 saint rulers were immediately sent flying by the brutal attacks of the 4 beasts. They all paled, clearly now quite injured. They're 15th star vicious beasts. Let's strike together, everyone. A loud voice erupted from the crowd, and over 20 saint rulers immediately took the initiative to charge at one of the 2nd heavenly layer Class 8 magical beast, surrounding it and raining it with attacks. In that moment, everyone devoted themselves to battle. The powerful beasts needed to all be killed off while most of them remained. Otherwise, it would be almost certain death if they came across the beasts all by themselves. This was why all 160 saint rulers worked extremely well together despite coming from different regions. Jian Chen, Xia Wang, and their 4 other members of the group kept a 3rd heavenly layer Class 8 beast busy, while Nubi's fought the 5th heavenly layer vicious beast with 30-odd experts on his side. The battle was extremely fierce. With the Qing armament, Jian Chen was as strong as a 3rd heavenly layer Saint King. His sword impaled the neck of the beast with lightning speed, causing it to howl out in pain. The other people who fought the beast with him all struck out as hard as they could and powerful attacks rained down on it. It caused the beast to become littered with wounds. However, the beast's defense was extraordinary. The attacks only scathed its skin and failed to injure the beast by a lot. Jian Chen's eyes became cold and a towering sword intent immediately began to radiate from him. He seemed to have become an imposing divine sword in that moment. He levitated in mid-air as he quickly began to spin. The Qing armament embedded in the beast's neck began to spin at a great speed following the motions of Jian Chen's body, constantly expanding the beast's wound like a meat grinder. In the end, Jian Chen directly passed through the wound along with his sword. The beast howled out powerlessly. A 30-centimeter hole had already appeared in its not very thick neck, leaving only a quarter of its neck still attached to its head. At this moment, another ray from a blade flashed by. A ninth heavenly layer saint ruler chopped at the remaining quarter with a machete, severing the head completely and causing it to fly into the air as it sprayed with blood. Immediately, powerful energies shot from the hands of over 10 saint rulers, striking the head in the air and causing it to explode with a boom. The head was blasted apart while a bloody monster core flew out. Several saint rulers immediately tried to take it for themselves, but a figure arrived before it with even greater speed. He directly grabbed it. The figure was Jian Chen. A cold light flashed through the eyes of several saint rulers immediately, but when they saw that it was Jian Chen, they shut up immediately. The ruler of the Turtle clan was someone who had robbed Yixuan of the 8 great human experts, and he had even succeeded. No ordinary person could match his courage or strength. They did not want to offend Jian Chen just because of a mere Class 8 monster core. A third heavenly layer Class 8 vicious beast had just died like that in the hands of a few saint ruler. Yet, the person who benefited the most from it was Jian Chen, obtaining a Class 8 monster core that was rarely seen on the Tianyuan continent. With the death of the beast, the 3 other Class 8 vicious beasts remained locked in combat with everyone else. The 2 second heavenly layer beasts were already covered in blood as wounds crisscrossed all over them. They were not going to be lasting much longer. The final 5th heavenly layer beast remained as tough as ever. There were very few wounds on its body as the ordinary attacks from the saint ruler struggled to break through its skin. Only Nubis was able to cause relatively deeper wounds. Bang! 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 With consecutive sounds, several saint rulers were knocked into the air by that vicious beast. They all vomited blood, now very heavily injured. It took them quite some time to rise up after being knocked down. They immediately pulled out medicines from their space rings to treat their injuries and did not continue the battle. Bang! With another muffled sound, Nubis was knocked flying by a kick from the beast. He immediately became rather pale. Jian Chen used the illusory flash and shooting toward Nubis as a blur. He caught Nubis mid-air and asked in concern, "Are you fine?" Several of Nubis' ribs were broken. He was quite injured. He endured the agonizing pain as he stood up and said, "That beast is too powerful. Not only is its skin so tough that it's difficult to deal with, its strength is extremely great too. Jian Chen, you got any more radiant spirit pills? Give me a few." Jian Chen pulled out a small wooden box and passed it to Nubis without any hesitation. "I have no need for these, so you should keep them. If I'm not with you, use them to treat your wounds." Nubis directly put the wooden box into his space ring without holding back. "Treat your wounds here, fist. I'll go deal with those 2 slightly weaker beasts. I need their monster cores very much." Jian Chen directly charged at the 2 second heavenly layer beasts after throwing that down. Chapter 9:15, Fight for a Class 8 monster core. Currently, the 2 second heavenly layer Class 8 vicious beasts were covered in blood and close to their deaths. Their attacks had also become weaker and weaker as a result. "Just some more. They can't last much longer. They're almost dead," called out a saint ruler as he hurled a fist that struck the head of one of the beasts forcefully. It jolted the beast's head violently, cracking its skull. At this moment, a blur arrived with a flash. Jian Qin used the illusory flash to get behind the beast and suddenly swung down with the Qing armament that radiated with a destructive aura. It cut into the horrifying wound at the beast's neck. Crack. The beast was beheaded by Jian Qin's strike as large amounts of blood spurted from the remaining stump on its body. It gave off a sharp smell of blood. With a swing of his hand, Jian Qin stabbed out once again. The Qing armament was inserted deeply into the beast's head and he used the sword to dig out a bloody monster core. Without even wiping it clean, he shoved it into his space ring before immediately charging toward the other beast. A few seconds later, the other beast's life was ended by Jian Qin as well, and so he also obtained its monster core. Jian Qin rejoiced slightly. He had just obtained 3 Class 8 monster cores. This would have been unimaginable on the Tianyuan continent. Come deal with this beast. It's of the 16th star. We need to finish it off right here and right now, or no one would be able to deal with it once we separate. It'll take us all to our doom. A saint ruler called out for help as he battled the final Class 8 beast. The beast was of the 5th heavenly layer, so even though there were over 30 saint rulers surrounding and attacking it simultaneously, it was still extremely powerful. It forcefully knocked all the saint rulers backward with its own strength. Immediately, over 100 saint rulers charged up and engaged in a great battle with the final beast. Jian Qin did not just stand around either. He also participated in the slaying of the final vicious beast. The beast was extremely powerful, so they needed to kill it off when there was still a lot of them around. Otherwise, perhaps everyone would die to its claws after they all separated. Under the attacks from over 109th heavenly layer saint rulers, the beast finally produced a howl of regret and collapsed in its own pool of blood. However, there were also over 30 saint rulers that had been heavily injured. The monster core in the beast's head had become the object of attraction among the crowd. Over 20 saint rulers charged up immediately for the head and engaged in a brawl with one another, which directly caused the head to disintegrate. Meanwhile, the monster core hidden deep within it was knocked high up into the sky by the powerful force. The saint rulers all leaped into the air in unison and flying toward the monster core. They all moved extremely fast. A gleam of light exploded in Jian Qin's eyes and 2 vague slivers of colored light, one purple and one azure, appeared in his eyes. He grabbed at the empty space, and the monster core immediately changed directions and flew toward him. In the end, Jian Qin caught it firmly. Over 10 of the 20-odd people immediately gave up once they saw that the person who had obtained it was Jian Qin, ruler of the Turtle Clan. However, there were still 7 people who charged toward him with killing intent, in an attempt to steal the monster core from him. Jian Qin's eyes immediately narrowed. Grabbing the monster core tightly with his left hand, the Qing armament lashed out with his right. He stabbed out 7 times in an instant. Ding! 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 With a series of metal clashes, the weapons from all 7 people collided with the Qing armament in Jian Qin's hand. The weapon struck Jian Qin's sword before being pulled back immediately as all 7 people backpedaled hurriedly. All their expressions underwent a drastic change, while their gazes toward Jian Qin were soon filled with deep fear and disbelief. Jian Qin stood steadily as if his feet were the roots of a tree. He had repelled all 7 of them by himself, and he seemed to have done it extremely easily. This caused all the surrounding people to break into an uproar. In that moment, all of them looked toward Jian Qin with deep dread. It would be extremely unfortunate if they happened to offend such a powerful person in the Octoterra Divine Hall that was isolated from the outside world. Jian Qin stared coldly at the 7 saint rulers. He could not help but form a sneer with his lips. I'd like to see how long you can endure it for. Spurt. 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 As soon as Jian Qin said that, the 7 saint rulers all vomited blood. They all became dejected. They had all been injured by the sword chi from that single clash earlier. After all, Jian Qin wielded a Qing armament. He possessed the strength of a 3rd heavenly layer Saint King. Any casual attack from a 3rd heavenly layer Saint King was not something a saint ruler could endure. All the people present watched on wide-eyed and tongue-tied. The shock in their hearts had reached the absolute maximum. Ha ha ha, the ruler of the Turtle Clan sure is extraordinary. I've finally been able to witness it today. Mog laughed aloud as he stepped out from the crowd and arrived directly beside Jian Qin. He was singing words of praise. Afterward, the three other people stepped out from the crowd and joined Jian Qin as well. They seemed to be indicating to the crowd that they were with the ruler of the Turtle Clan. Jian Qin glanced at the Class 8 monster core in his hand and said to the 7 people, "Do you still want to fight with me for this monster core?" Turtle ruler, sincere apologies. We did not know that it was you who was in possession of the monster core. If we have caused any offense, I hope the turtle ruler can forgive us. An old man apologized to Jian Qin from the group of 7. His face was earnest. Jian Qin frowned slightly when he heard that and revealed some slight displeasure. I don't like to be called turtle ruler. My name is Jian Qin. Yes, turtle ruler, the old man replied courteously. He did not dare to defy Jian Qin. Although they were of the same cultivation level, Jian Qin was the ruler of a clan. He would be able to reach the level of a hall elder sooner or later, or even surpass that and become an emperor. Let alone the fact that he was afraid of causing any offense himself, even his entire clan would not dare to offend Jian Qin so easily. However, the old man did not seem to realize what he had said, that he had called Jian Qin turtle ruler again. Jian Qin sighed gently inside. He just could not be bothered with squabbling over these small matters with this old man. After he stored the monster core into his space ring, he arrived before newbies to protect him as he healed. Now that all the vicious beasts had been killed off, the silent truce between all the people had dissolved. All of them left the area cautiously, staying vigilant of the others. Everyone knew that there was only a limited number of treasures in the Octoterra Divine Hall. The fewer people there were, the greater chance they would have of obtaining something. As a result, battles could erupt at any moment here. Almost all the people present wished for everyone else to die, so that they would be guaranteed to inherit the Octoterra Emperor's legacy and the various treasures within. A while later, the various groups of people had all disappeared into the 16 tunnels, which caused the people remaining in the hall to become less and less. In just a short 20 minutes, the entire hall was emptied, only leaving behind Jian Qin's group of 7. A thick smell of blood lingered in the air. Jian Qin, let's go as well. Newbie stood up. His wounds had been mostly healed by the Class 6 Radiant Spirit pills, although it was not a complete recovery, it would no longer affect him greatly. Jian Qin glanced at the 16 tunnels and casually picked one. Mog and the 3 others followed closely behind Jian Qin, newbies, and Xiaowang. The Divine Hall seemed like a maze inside. The tunnels led off in all directions and could be seen almost everywhere. When Jian Qin's group reached the end of their tunnel, they saw many more tunnels that led off to places unknown. The tunnels were like the branches of a tree, each branch would have many smaller branches, while there were even smaller ones of them. It was innumerable and very easily disorientating. A great beast roar resounded from ahead at this moment. A 3-meter-tall Class 7 vicious beast appeared before the group. It stared fixedly at them with its red eyes, before charging toward them. Jian Qin's eyes immediately lit up when he saw the beast. He did not seem to see it as a powerful opponent but as a valuable Class 7 monster core. Let me deal with it. Just as Mog was about to charge at the beast, Jian Qin was already one step faster with the Qing armament in hand. He beheaded the beast with a single slash and removed its monster core. The group paid no further attention to the beast's corpse after removing its monster core before continuing on their way. The group made their way aimlessly through the maze, coming across beasts from time to time. However, all of them were around Class 7, with some even Class 6. Not only did they fail to form any threat to Jian Qin's group, they resulted in a grand harvest for Jian Qin. He had obtained quite a few monster cores from this. Just as they passed through a tunnel, their views suddenly opened up. They had come to an extremely large hall. Jian Qin looked around and his face sank immediately. He had already recognized the hall as the one they had arrived in at the very beginning. They had traveled in a great big circle, actually looping back to where they had started. The only difference was that the mountainous piles of beast corpses had all disappeared. They were not the first ones to return. There were over 40 people scattered everywhere in the hall, conversing with one another currently. They would draw on the floor from time to time, analyzing the path they had taken in the maze. "Crap, we've come back again." Nubi's expression became rather ugly. At this very moment, Jian Qin's eyes froze. He stared fixedly at the center of the hall. There, he vaguely saw a formation on the floor. Chapter 9:16. Leaving the maze, Jian Qin slowly made his way to the center of the hall as he stared at the formation fixedly. The circular formation on the ground had a diameter of 20 meters and was in the shape of a pentagram. Countless tiny red lines connected with one another on it, linking up in an extremely complicated and profound manner. Jian Qin stared at the formation as a sliver of thought appeared on his face. He could remember clearly that when he had first come to the hall, the complicated formation was not present. Is this hall perhaps not the one we had originally arrived in, but a different one that seems completely the same? Jian Qin involuntarily guessed inside, but he dismissed this thought very quickly. He was certain that this was the same hall he had initially arrived in. There's a formation here, another Saint Ruler said in surprise as he too discovered the formation. All the other Saint Rulers in the hall were drawn over and gathered in the center. They all stared fixedly at the formation as they stood in thought. The formation is covered by many of those red lines. "Is this perhaps the map to the maze?" said a person as he hypothesized. "That's impossible. These red lines form a completely different image to the maze, so it can't be a map." Someone else dismissed this immediately. "The formation wasn't present before. It has only appeared suddenly right now. Perhaps it has something to do with the way out of the maze?" Another person expressed his thoughts. Everyone became silent. Many of them had thought up to there, but they did not have any way to test it. At this very moment, a loud beast roar reverberated from a tunnel. A vicious beast had just been slaughtered by some Saint Ruler, howling out miserably one last time before its death. Jian Qin's eyes lit up. His presence had engulfed the entirety of the formation, so he would be able to sense any changes the formation underwent. Just as the beast had died, he discovered that an additional red line had appeared. Does the appearance of this formation have something to do with those beasts? An idea flashed through Jian Qin's head. When we first entered the Divine Hall, there wasn't a formation on the ground. Afterward, we encountered the attacks from a large horde of beasts. After we killed off all of them, their corpses littered the ground, and this prevented us from seeing the ground properly. Now that we've returned, the corpses have disappeared and there's now a formation on the floor. Has this formation appeared because of those beasts? Jian Qin's eyes shone as he quickly analyzed the facts. Suddenly, Jian Qin's expression changed and he said gruffly, "I know now. This formation should be crucial to how we leave the maze, but it's just been hidden for some reason. We need to use the blood of the beasts to make it appear. For every death, a part of the formation will appear. Once enough beasts have been killed, its entirety will appear. We'll be able to leave the maze then." All the people present became stunned when they heard this, before all staring fixedly at the formation on the ground. They all pondered as they stared at it. "What evidence do you have to prove what you just said?" A burly, middle-aged man asked Jian Qin. "Pay close attention to the formation. If I am right, additional red lines will appear when beasts die. These red lines should be a component of the formation, and only when they all appear will the formation be complete," said Jian Qin. Afterward, no one spoke. They all focused their gazes onto the formation, staring at it fixedly for any changes. More Saint Ruler entered the hall as they focused on the formation, leading to an increase in the number of people. They immediately noticed the ring of people around the formation as soon as they arrived, and they also joined in out of curiosity, all staring at the formation with doubt. At this moment, another miserable beast howl rang out. Another vicious beast had been killed in the maze. Just as the beast died, an old man called out from the crowd of people, "Look, another red line has actually appeared." I saw it too. It's just as he said. Those beasts really are crucial for us to leave here. We need to add to the formation through their blood. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go kill those beasts and complete the formation as soon as possible. All the people called out in surprise, and some of them immediately charged into the tunnels impatiently in search of beasts to kill. Jian Chen's group did not hesitate either. They casually chose a tunnel and left through it, taking part in the hunt for the beasts. Jian Chen needed the monster cores within the beasts' bodies very much, and any one of them would be a priceless treasure on the Tianyuan continent. He needed to collect as much as he could in this rare opportunity. The beasts in the Divine Hall were all reared up by the Octoterra Emperor years ago. After so many years of breeding, no one knew exactly how many there were, nor did anyone know how powerful the strongest one was. Jian Chen's group rampaged in the tunnels, purposefully searching for beasts to hunt. Along the way, they would come across other saint rulers from time to time. However, when they noticed that it was Jian Chen, ruler of the Turtle Clan, they would reveal deep fear. They would greet Jian Chen enthusiastically before taking a path and leaving. No one dared to offend Jian Chen. After all, they had all witnessed Jian Chen's strength when he killed the 5th Heavenly Layer Class 8 vicious beast earlier. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. In these 3 days, Jian Chen constantly shuttled back and forth within the maze, hunting down beasts. In these days of slaughter, countless beasts had been felled by Jian Chen's hands. He collected a great pile of monster cores as a result. Rumble. Just as Jian Chen killed off the beast he was dealing with, the entire maze suddenly began to shake violently. In the hall, the complete formation had finally appeared, shining with a dazzling red light that filled the entire hall. In that very moment, the hall had been filled with an extremely powerful energy. In the next moment, the surrounding walls of the maze slowly began to sink, quickly disappearing into the ground completely. As they disappeared, it revealed the many experts in the maze. The maze has disappeared. That formation really was the way out of the maze. The experts all cried out happily as they watched the surroundings. Jian Chen removed the monster core from the beast's head and then looked around. He discovered that he was now actually in a large square. It was extremely large, with an area of several hundred square kilometers. The maze was constructed in this square. The Divine Hall sure is different on the inside compared with the outside. The inside is actually so big, just the square completely exceeds the size of the hall we saw outside. Nubis sighed emotionally after looking around. The hall where we originally appeared in should be the main entrance of the Divine Hall, while this square should be the first portion of the Divine Hall. Let's continue onward, said Jian Chen, before heading toward the depths. At the same time, all the other saint rulers set out as well. They maintained a certain distance between one another as they slowly made their way into the depths, each filled with caution. In there, not only did they need to stay vigilant of the people around them, they also needed to watch out for dangers from the Divine Hall itself. At this very moment, Jian Chen's eyes froze. He suddenly turned to one side and saw that 100 meters away, the space had begun to tremble violently. It had enveloped 5 saint rulers that traveled together, sucking them away. Everyone be careful, there are formations here, people immediately cried out from the surroundings. Everyone's vigilance rose once again. Everyone continued their way toward the interior of the Divine Hall cautiously without paying any more attention to whether the trapped people had survived or not. It was extremely difficult to detect the hidden formations. For the next period of time, the formations are hidden everywhere all appeared, trapping the saint rulers that had triggered them. Even Jian Chen's group ended up triggering 3 powerful killing formations, but they managed to break through it successfully with the 7 of them. They passed through the initial area of the Divine Hall, reaching the central region. Many grand halls and pavilions stood in the central region of the hall, and there were many perfectly preserved gardens and ponds. Flowers bloomed in the garden, giving off a heavy fragrance. Many unknown insects moved among the plants, while quite a few fishes swam about in the ponds. The fragrance of the water lingered in the entire region. Under the influence of the Divine Hall, all the organisms, regardless of the various insects or the fishes, had evolved beyond what they seemed. They all possessed extremely powerful offensive abilities. They had existed for countless years, and some of them even radiated with auras akin to saint rulers. The energy they used was extremely odd, similar to the energy of the Divine Hall, which was extremely powerful. Everyone knew the strength of these organisms, so they maintained a wide distance from them. No one dared to provoke them as they continued forward. The central region of the hall was like a city crisscrossed with paths. Everyone gradually scattered after arriving here, spreading out in all directions. Boom! Suddenly, a violent sound rumbled in the distance. A saint ruler had attempted to enter a hall. Just as he opened the door, he was knocked into the air by a violent ripple of energy that had surged out from within. Blood sprayed from his mouth without restraint. However, the door did not close up and remained open. "Let's go in and have a look." A voice rang out and 3 saint rulers immediately entered the hall cautiously. At the same time, blue armor materialized on them, completely condensed from energy. Noticing the armor on them, an undetectable gleam of light flashed across Jian Chen's eyes. He had fought Saint Kings many times, which was why he could identify that the 3 suits of armor all radiated with a vast presence unique to Saint Kings. That's not their power. There's a Saint King's power within them, and they used that to condense the armor to protect themselves. Jian Chen reached an understanding very quickly. The Saint King's power clearly would only be used when they faced true danger. Right now, they were entering an unknown hall. The dangers would definitely be much greater than that of the vicious beasts, which was why they had used the power without any hesitation. Many people outside paid attention to the movements of the 3 people. Their eyes all flickered with a certain light, hesitating about whether to venture into a hall and see what was inside. Boom! At this moment, a violent rumble resounded from within the hall. A powerful energy immediately rippled from the hall, causing the surrounding space to tremble. You're tuning in to the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.